Hey listeners, this is your host, Cosmic Wand. Thank you so much for being here. You can check other videos too. Now let's get on to the video. Harry looked around listlessly after the battle was over. He had just returned to the courtyard after talking to Ron and Hermione. He didn't feel like he belonged to this place anymore. It wasn't that he was being blamed or defamed or ignored. No, it wasn't any of that. He started feeling this way after he woke up from getting attacked by Voldemort in the forest. Like he no longer was part of this world. He saw his friends all exhausted and tired. His family gravely injured by war, and he felt detached, like he was on his last minutes after that. After that what? He wasn't sure. All he understood was he couldn't be here anymore. And then time stopped. He felt a chill go down his back, but unlike the Dementor's chill, this felt strangely comforting. "Hello, Master," a voice rasped behind him. Harry turned around and came face to face with a silhouette. He didn't feel threatened by it. In fact, he instinctively knew who was talking to him. Harry nodded. "Death. Is it strange I was expecting you to show up?" Harry answered softly. "I died once already." "Death. Indeed. You accepted your death. You embraced it and were ready to move on. And would have if it wasn't for the meddling of fate. That fool. To think they can keep someone from me. Do you understand why I am here, Master?" "Harry, yes, I died. I should move on and not linger. I have felt it in my body, magic and soul the moment I woke up. But I figured, I would like to do one last thing before I left. Death, for that I thank you, Master." Death. What Tom did was putting a strain on the balance between life and death. If he wasn't stopped, then RS would follow and disrupt the balance completely while destroying this world in the process. In essence, you not only saved your friends and the world, you also saved me from having to collect too many souls. Now I may be death, but that doesn't mean I enjoy extra work. Harry couldn't help but laugh at that. Who would have thought death could be funny? Harry, so I guess I will be leaving soon. How will this make sense to anyone though? They all saw me walk away from the fight alive. Death, worry not, young one, your internal injuries were left untouched when you were sent back. And it is surprising that many people succumb to them, especially after a fight like this one. Harry looked at Death. "I'm surprised though. You are not just taking me with you, instead you are here talking with me." "I'm chatting with Death. Sirius would have a conniption if he ever found out." Death gave out a chuckle. Contrary to what most of the living believe, death is never in a hurry, nor is death late. We just enjoy taking our time. However, there is another thing I need to discuss with you. Harry looked at Death. "What is it?" Harry looked down and he noticed, he was wearing the cloak, the stone. He was in necklace form around his neck, and the bloody wand that he threw away was in his hand. He looked at Death, and Death continued, "The Hallows are sentient in a way. If they like someone, they'll follow that person till their soul time is up, and I can actually collect them." Here Harry had a flabbergasted expression. Sentient items. The cloak never interacted with him even once throughout the 7 years. And it's sentient. Death chuckled at his young master's thoughts. They really got a cute one this time. "Death, this brings us to a predicament. As I created the Hallows, I have a fondness for them. And this is the first time all 3 of them accepted someone else other than me as their holders. Usually I would send you to be reincarnated like anyone else, but since the 3 of them decided to follow you, I can only send you to replace yourself or your counterpart in a different world." Harry, wait. Different world? You're sending me to a different world? What does that mean exactly? And wouldn't that be suspicious if the me from that world started to act differently? Death, exactly what it means. Remember, Master, different choices, different outcomes, different realities. The world I'm sending you to is one such reality. It's real just like this one, but different from this world simultaneously. Harry contemplated this information. He had been planning on leaving soon, and if he had his way, take his friends and family with him. There was no guarantee he would have returned to Britain at all. Especially after everything that happened. There were too many painful memories and too many reminders of the people he lost. He wouldn't be able to stay here. And if he were to go to a different world, he could start over. Also, didn't Death mention his internal injuries would kill him anyway? He would miss watching Teddy grow up. But he knew he wouldn't have to worry. Harry had made sure to adopt Teddy the same way Sirius adopted him and made Teddy the heir to both Potter and Black lines. Death wondered if they should mention that they can hear his thoughts. Death changed their mind after a while. It was interesting listening to the thoughts of their new master. Frankly, they had expected the child to be frightened or be in denial, or even worse, amusing, demand Death to become his servant like a few certain people. But no such thoughts crossed their young master's mind. Death was amused and could understand why his three creations liked the child. This child, despite all the sadness, darkness and desperation, managed to remain pure. Or perhaps it's because he's a child he stayed pure, Death mused. Death, Master, have you decided? Harry, yes, I accept your offer. I have already done everything I could for them. It's up to them now. Harry stretched his hand and accepted Death's bony hand and felt his physical body fall. He also noticed that time started to flow again. The people or the students in the courtyard noticed his body crumple to the ground and rushed to take him to a healer. He watched as Madame Pomfrey checked him over again and again till she had no other choice but to declare him dead. She had explained his internal organs were heavily injured already, and they finally gave up after being stressed and stretched out for too long. Harry watched as the Weasley family mourned the loss of another son. Watched as Hermione, Ginny and Luna hold each other and cried. Watched as Neville cried the loss of his godbrother and friend. Watched as Draco mourned the loss of another family member. Watched as he was once again hailed a hero. Harry turned to Death. Let's go. It'll be harder to leave the longer I stay. Harry gave a sigh. I have to trust them to heal and move on. And I shall do the same thing. Although it'll take another lifetime before I can actually move on. Right, Death? Death, yes, and this time when you do I will really send you off. Harry smiled and with a last final farewell left the wizarding world and Earth to enter another world. Phew, that took a while. Hope you guys liked it. Writing from Death's perspective was fun. Opening parenthesis, closing parenthesis. I have always imagined if Death was a person he would get bored after collecting souls again and again and would be interested in talking for a bit before getting to work again. Opening parenthesis, closing parenthesis. See you, my lovelies. Waking in Memories. Hello readers. Here's the second chapter. I hope you'll like this chapter. It'll mostly be the background of Harry Potter in KHR dimension. And while some parts may be similar, many parts will differ greatly. Remember, it's a different world, so despite the similarities there will be large differences. Harry Potter and Katekiyoshi Hitman Reborn belong to their respective creators. The art there is not mine either. Credit goes to the artist. Not me. Okay, I don't own any of them except the storyline. Thoughts? Talking? Enjoy. Harry woke up with a start. He looked around the room he was in. It was a simple room except it had a distinct Japanese feel to it. By his side there was a giant black dog who was wagging its tail after seeing him wake up. He was about to get up, but then he was assaulted with a piercing pain in his head. He fell back down on his bed groaning. The dog whined, sensing his distress. Easy, Master, Death said from the bedside. Don't fight it, let the memories flow. It'll pain less. Harry relaxed, knowing he wasn't completely alone, and decided to relax and meditate through the memories, while cuddling with the giant dog that had frozen at Death's sudden appearance. The dog gradually relaxed and sat beside his master. That's it, Death said. Just relax and watch for now. I'll be here. Huh, Harry thought, that was different indeed. Operator. Harry watched the childhood memories, how his father and Sirius was in the police force while his mother and Uncle Sev worked in the hospital. Watched how similar yet different their deaths were in the two worlds. Instead of Voldemort, it was a criminal who killed his parents when he was 2 years old. As there was no prophecy meddling with his life, his 2-year-old self went to his Uncle Sev to raise as his own. And when Sirius decided to adopt Harry when he turned 3, Everest didn't oppose it and welcomed Sirius to the family. Harry watched. When his counterpart turned 5, he started to call Severus, Papa, and Sirius, Dad. He watched as both men were surprised by the terms and became awkward. Harry watched the many happy birthday, Easter, school events, Christmas, etc., that his counterpart enjoyed with his two favorite people with a little jealousy, despite knowing it was irrational to be jealous of himself. He watched through the next few years till he turned 10 how the two of them danced around each other, and finally Severus asked Sirius out. His little self had been ecstatic and promised to behave for the babysitter while they went out on their date. He had talked the babysitter's ear off about how he would have two fathers now. Okay, Harry thought, not jealous anymore. Stop little me, Sigma, Su D, Su. Maybe it was the world or maybe it was the environment, Harry couldn't tell, but somehow he felt, Sirius and Severus in his old world would probably have gotten together as well. He would never know. Harry watched how his younger self was a very curious child and ran into a very bizarre, well for this world anyway incident. When Harry was 8, his family went to France. There he met a baby. Not just any baby, but a baby in a leather dress and skull mask riding a mini motorbike. It was a very curious event. Huh, Harry thought, is that normal? Operator. Operator. Death just gave a chuckle. The baby for some reason followed him around before introducing himself as, I'm Skull Sama, Baby Sky. Harry's little self was flabbergasted. Harry, who interacted with unicorns, centaurs, dragons, elves, etc. Himself was confounded. His little self had no idea babies could talk, and when he went to introduce his new friend to his parents, even they were dumbfounded. They laughed. Told him that baby was probably not a baby but a dwarf. That caused his younger self to research and find out about dwarfism. The two unlikely friends kept in contact with each other via mail after. It was time for Harry and family to return home. He watched as he turned into a 13-year-old and how Sirius was diagnosed with leukemia. Ah, Harry thought sadly, even here he was destined to leave me soon. He watched as Sirius went to hospital, watched as Severus became distraught, and started to work longer to make ends meet. He watched as his counterpart took his studies more seriously, and searched for a job that could hire a minor just so he could elevate some of the burden. He watched as his younger self overheard some of the businessmen talk about earning money by buying stock at his workplace during his first month and decided to enter the stock market instead of searching for a second job. He asked Skull on mail for advice on which companies to invest in outside Britain, and Skull gave him a list. Even though it wasn't enough to cover the full expenses, it was enough to cover the bills for the house at least. When his younger self told his parents about his achievement, they were very proud of how fast he was maturing, yet sad that he had to mature faster than most children. They didn't show him their sadness though, and told his young 14-year-old counterpart how proud they were of his achievements. Severus passed away when he turned 20. Harry had woken up in this body 2 months after the funeral. He mourned the loss and deaths of his first parents in both woe. RLDS and his second parents in this world. Death was sitting beside him patiently, giving him time to process and accept the information first. Death, Master, take your time. Once you are settled, we have to talk about this world. Harry, does it have anything to do with the dwarf? Death, yes, but first rest, we have time. Harry took Death's advice and decided to lay back down to process and accept the information and feelings. They were still very strong, especially the grief, and decided to sleep while cuddling with the giant dog whose name was Padfoot. At least Padfoot is still with me, Harry thought before falling asleep. Okay, second chapter is done. Hope you all enjoyed this story. Next chapter will come soon. Till then, see you peeps. Last will and forgiveness. Hello everyone. I'm back with another chapter. Projection. Speaking. Please enjoy. It had been just a week since Harry was declared dead. The Weasley family was grieving the loss of a second son. Hermione was grieving the loss of her best friend, brother. Neville was grieving the loss of his godbrother. Luna, Draco, Pansy and everyone else were grieving the loss of a friend or classmate or the loss of their family members. The whole of Wizarding World seemed to be in a state of heartbreak. Even the obnoxious Rita Skeeter was affected and didn't publish any disparaging articles. Her articles were shockingly to the point. Hermione and Ron would have had a field day with it if the reason wasn't so heartbreaking. It was at the end of the second week that Gringotts Bank sent a summons to the following people: Hermione Granger, Ronald Weasley, Neville Longbottom, Draco Malfoy, Narcissa Malfoy, Lucius Malfoy, Luna Lovegood, Ginevra Weasley, Remus Lupin, Nymphadora Tonks Lupin, Theodore Lupin, Andromeda Tonks, Ted Tonks, Arthur Weasley, Molly Weasley, William Arthur Weasley, Fleur Weasley, Charles Weasley, Percy Weasley, Frederick Weasley, George Weasley, Minerva McGonagall, Pomona Sprout, Phileas Flitwick, Severus Snape. Harry had left a will for them. On the day of the will reading, everyone was present. Well, everyone who survived the war at least. Griphook didn't comment on the missing people among them. War was a terrible business. He remembered the previous war. It was a mess and they not only lost good business but also good people. He gave a sigh, whether it was for the loss, or himself or something else, no one could tell. Griphook, is everyone present? We will start the will reading now. It'll be shown as a projection. Harry Potter's last will. I, Harry James Potter of sound mind and body, without the infl. Uance of any external forces, am now writing this last will. Let Mother Magic and Griphook be my witnesses to the creation of this will. So mote be it. Hello everyone. If you are reading or listening this, then that means I didn't make it in. The war is over now. Now just because I died doesn't mean it's the end of the world. We fought this war for a reason and we fought it together to see the new day. Before we returned to school I had a feeling something might happen, so I came to Gringotts Bank and made this will beforehand. Let's start, shall we? Some of the adults couldn't help but give teary chuckles when they heard it. To my dear godson, Teddy, I leave you the inheritance to not only the Black family but also the Potter family. Yes, I decided to make you my heir. I regret not being able to spend more time with you. But never doubt that I love you. To Remus and Tonks Lupin, I leave the Black family house. Please fill it with many children. To Miss Andromeda and Ted Tonks, I have reinstated you back to the Black family. Welcome home. I leave Creature and Mimsy in your care. Miss Tonks broke down crying after hearing the will. She had always felt the strain on the family magic ever since she had left the family. Now with the reinstating she could feel the Black family magic curling protectively around her and Teddy. Teddy, who felt the magic but couldn't understand what it meant, giggled happily. Somehow he knew the man in the projection loves him and that made him happy. Useful. You were my sister in all but blood. I have no doubt you will go very far. Hermione couldn't hold it in anymore and tears escaped her eyes while Ron held her hands. He looked ready to cry any moment as well. Hermione, oh Harry, you were like a brother to me too. I love you too, Harry. Ron, you were my first friend in Wizarding World. The best chess player, strategist and brother in all but blood. I leave you the Potter mahogany chess board as well as the lovely cottage in Windshire Meadow. I also give you my support and blessings in getting together with Hermione. You take care of her well. Ron, who was holding Hermione, ended up crying after that. Ron, mate, Harry, thank you, but I didn't want any of that. If I could exchange those things and have you back, I would be happier. I would be happier if you were there when we married. No one could say anything to that after all. Nothing can replace a best friend. Neville, you were my godbrother. I regret not being able to spend more time with you. But all the times we had together I cherish them. I leave you the Potter greenhouse at the south of Wales. You always did have a green thumb and was amazing when it came to plants. Neville held back his tears. Harry, I also regret not being able to spend more time with you, but yes, the times we spent together were the best. Harry, did you know? You inspired me to be braver and to become a teacher. Draco, you were more of a rival than a friend, but it is also undeniable that you were family. I leave you the Black family potions books. There are 10 of them. Don't deny that you were the best among us when it came to making potions and improving them. You are also welcome to the Black family, so don't be a stranger. Draco, thank you Harry, for everything. I promise I'll try to become a better person in the future. Mr. and Mrs. Malfoy, we haven't known each other for a long time. And it can't be denied that Mr. Malfoy and I have our differences, but like I said earlier, your family and family sticks together. To you I leave the Black family jewels and money in the Vault 369. They are very fancy and I believe they'll be to your taste. Mr. and Mrs. Malfoy, who wasn't expecting to be called to the will reading in the first place, was shocked at that. They honestly didn't expect this at all. Mr. Malfoy may or may not have had a guilty look for a while, but soon wore a poker face again. Mrs. Malfoy, on the other hand, was relieved that the family would have a chance to be Toget her again despite all the animosity they had. Ginny, you were a very dear friend to me, just like your brother. If the war hadn't happened we may have become more than just friends, but unfortunately reality is harsh. I know you had a dream of being with a Fairy tale hero, but now story is over. It's time to grow up. To you I leave my firebolt and the shares of the Clean Sweep Brooms Company. Ginny, who was crying already, cried even harder. Harry, don't worry about me. I promise I'll become a strong woman that you and everyone will be proud of. Luna, beautiful Luna, never change who you are. Re one of the best friends I had outside of my classmates. You have always been kind and understanding in your own way, and I'm very thankful that I got the chance to know you. To you I leave all the shares of the Daily Prophet, which Weekly and Quibbler. Luna, who had tears flowing down her cheeks. Harry, I also enjoyed our time together. Don't worry, I'll make sure the wizarding papers improve and become better like you always wished they were. Mr. and Mrs. Weasley, over the years you became close to being my parents. I thank you for taking me in and caring for me like a true parent would. To you I leave 60 galleons and books on Muggle items, which I believe Mr. Arthur will enjoy reading, as well as leaving cookbooks about Muggle food for Mrs. Weasley. Mr. and Mrs. Weasley were crying while holding each other. They couldn't say anything. What would parents who lost their child say during reading the will of said child? To Bill and Fleur, I have only known you for a few years, but despite that we became really close friends. I leave you the Potter House in France, and the Potter book on wards and curses. I hope you have a wonderful life together. Bill stood strong for the sake of his family while Fleur was crying. Harry was one of the few people who didn't judge her for her inheritance. Now he's gone. She agreed with Ron's sentiment. Charles, you are the cool elder brother who handles dragons. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. I leave the Potter fields in Romania in your hands. I know you love dragons more than anything, so use those lands to increase the space for the reserve. I trust you to do it. I also leave 100,000 galleons in your hands. Percy, you were cool in school, but after leaving school I don't know what happened to you, and I won't judge. You are still family to me. And I accept you. To you I leave the old laws and order books that have been in the Black family since the founding of the Wizarding Britain. You always have been a bookworm just like my own. But do spend more time with family as well. As you can see, they won't be around forever. Percy, I promise. Harry, I promise to spend more time with my family and to cherish them. Thank you for never giving up on me despite being a prat to you before. Fred and George are Gred and Forge, my favorite twins of all times. I'm going to miss your pranks and ingeniousness. You always made me laugh every time I felt down. The Marauders would have been proud of you. To you I leave every creation that the Marauders ever created, as well as 60,000 galleons. I hope your shop will become one of the best shops the world has seen. Good luck and have a wonderful life. George, who hadn't smiled since the Battle of Hogwarts, finally gave a sad smile. I'm sure Fred would have loved it. Harry, it'll be hard, Hair Bear, without you and Fred, but I'll manage. Don't worry. And when I see you both on the other side, I'll tell you about all the amazing pranks and ideas. Professors McGonagall, Sprout, Flitwick and Snape. Sorry to say, but I won't be attending class anymore. I wrote you in my will because I have no doubt Hogwarts as a whole will be involved in the war and will face destruction. To Hogwarts as A.W. whole I leave the 3 relics that I asked the goblins to restore after Tom's Horcruxes were removed. These are Hufflepuff's cup, Rowena's diadem and Slytherin's locket. Gryffindor's sword has always been in Headmaster's office. I have even left plans and money for Hogwarts to open up a museum to showcase these 4 items as well as others which are equally valuable. I'm hoping the money earned by the museum will go into rebuilding Hogwarts into a better and stronger castle. Minerva, Pomona and Flitwick were speechless at what they were being informed of. They were both very proud of how far RRY had come, yet heartbroken that he wouldn't be able to see his plans come to fruition. Minerva made a promise to get better wards and protection. Pomona promised to get good teachers to help them and the students, while Flitwick made a personal promise to work with the goblins and make sure that museum was a success. Everyone, I will miss you. But now this is goodbye. Till we meet again in the next adventure. Everyone after the will reading ended left Gringotts crying, and for some who were carrying some guilt with a little bit of less burden on their shoulders, Flitwick decided to stay back with the other 2 professors to go through the plans Harry had left behind. Outside the bank, Andromeda approached Draco and his parents. Andy, Sissa, I know we haven't interacted each other the last few years. But just like Harry said, we are family. I would like to invite you and your family over for dinner sometime. Draco, I would love that. Can we, mother? Go to Aunt Andromeda's place. Andy, none of that. Call me Aunt Andy, dear. I would also love to introduce you to your cousin Teddy. Draco, I look forward to it. Narcissa just gave a small sad smile. She was happy to see her family oming together again, but the price they had to pay for this. Lucius, I think after all the things and people we have lost, sitting down with family and knowing that they are alive might actually be what we need to heal. Narcissa, indeed we accept your offer, sister, and I'm sorry for how things turned out before. Andy, what happened happened. Now we try to make a better future. On the other sea, the Weasleys were having a similar conversation and everyone ended up going home together. They knew it wouldn't be easy. It would be hard. They had lost 2 sons and brothers, but like all the other times they would heal together and move forward. Hermione went with them. Neville and Luna promised to have lunch with them in the future. But for now they had to go home and take care of the only people left of their families. It won't be easy, moving on, but together they'll shoulder through the sad times and face happier days together. Ah, this was really hard to write. Farewell are always hard to write. But I did it. Opening parenthesis / closing parenthesis. I swear I cried halfway through. Dang. Well, I hope you enjoyed reading. See you next chapter. Death's explanation. Hello everyone. Sorry for the long wait. Had to go through the Katekyoshi Hitman Reborn manga again to come up with this chapter and the next one. But now here we are. The picture is not mine. Thinking. Talking. Enjoy. After Harry had woken up from his sleep, he couldn't help but snuggle into Padfoot some more. It was just that comfortable. He heard a chuckle coming from the side and felt a bony hand running through his hair. Ari half wondered if Death was ever able to touch others before without killing them, but didn't voice his thoughts out loud, feeling silly. Death chuckled again, hearing his young master's thoughts. He wanted to point out he was most of the time too busy with the dead to bother with the living, but just like Harry, he didn't voice his thoughts. Death, young master. Harry, please, I'm honest. Lee not comfortable with this master stuff. Reminds me of Voldemort. Death, very well, Harry. Are you ready to know and understand the new world you are in? Harry, yes, I am. Death, I can feel magic in this world similar to before. But somehow it feels different. Like there is one external and another internal. Am I making sense? Death, yes, I figured you would be more sensitive now than before. The Hallows more or less took away the mortal limitations that wizards are naturally born with when you accepted them and won their allegiance. You will slowly be able to sense more than one type of energy. There is a type of magic in this world. It has 2 main distinctions and many branches. Harry cuddled with Padfoot, who kept staring at Death. Interesting. From what I recall from the memories, this is a fairly modern world. Perhaps a little bit more advanced than my previous one. I'm just happy I have memories of the time my counterpart studied and cleared his education bearing college. I might just do that. I was never comfortable with the fact my wizarding education was incomplete. But there are no information or anything on this magic, and if my counterpart could use it. There are no accidental magic to show for it. Death, small mercies indeed. Death was quite amused with how fast Harry was accepting this. Cuddling with the giant guard dog probably helped. Now if it'll only stop looking at Death so suspiciously. Death wouldn't hurt their own master, thank you very much. Harry, the Muggle history is also the same except for a few difference in names and years. But I suppose that is expected. And one thing we don't need to worry about. And I just noticed there was a Barty Crouch as one of my teachers in school. And Tom was the headmaster. Death. You're pulling my leg. Death laughed at Harry's indignant expression. Calm, Harry, they were reborn as well, yes, but they were in a time before you. They lived a very happy and content life. You need not worry about them. Plus you did go through your memories. Quote, Harry still pouted. I was more focused on Mom, Dad, Papa and Daddy. I didn't pay attention to the school side. Death sighed at the longing. Apologies, Harry. But if I had brought you here when your counterpart was younger, that would have caused you and your counterpart to enter into a coma, which would have been troublesome. Now shall we get back on topic? Harry, I understand. Yes, you were telling me about the magic that exists in this world. Death, indeed, but instead of magic the people of this world call it Deathperation Flom. It is a very unique piece of magic that has dominated this world since the beginning. It is mostly known in your world as soul magic, or as your ministry likes to call, dark magic. The insult truly. Harry's eyes widened at that. The magic that was considered dark in his world wasn't considered dark here. He was shocked, but then again most ministry were bigoted assholes, so if Death could smile he would at Harry's expression. His young master was just too adorable in his opinion. Harry, do I have it then? And the strange man, dwarf, Skull, does he have it too? Death, indeed, in this world unlike yours. While there is a secret society, no one is exempt from having it. They believe anyone who wants to be able to use it will find a way to access it. Also there are no pure, half or muggleborn. Only civilians and fighters. You have to be a fighter to be able to access it. Harry couldn't help but marvel at the difference between the two worlds. He joked, "Dang, now I wish Skull was here. I feel like channeling my inner Hermione." Death gave a cold laugh at that. Skull was lucky he bonded with his master's younger counterpart before they came here. Very lucky. Reborn hits him over the head. Pay attention, lackey. Skull, sorry senpai. Death snorted at Harry's expression. He looked forward to the meeting. It'll be interesting. Death, you should also know, Harry, that just like the Hallows existed in your world, this world has its own power items called the Trinet set. These items, unlike the Hallows, are bound to this world and keeps it balanced. Harry, who had paled at knowing here was another set out there, gave a sigh of relief. He had his hands full with 3 conscious items already. He didn't want to be responsible for another 3. No thank you. Death, there are still more you need to learn. And more you need to understand, especially the connection between you and Skull. Harry, connection. I know that my counterpart was close to Skull, but I get the feeling you are talking about something deeper than just a simple friendship or relationship. Death, yes, indeed. I'm quite happy you're taking all of this so calmly so far. Harry, things may be different here, some things are the same, so I guess I haven't had the reason to freak out much yet. Death, we shall continue again later. Harry, I believe your Padfoot is getting hungry and impatient and you need food as well. You must make sure to take care of yourself in this world. You have a new chance. Harry smiled softly at Death. I will, I promise. Thank you, Death. Harry got off the bed and walked out, following Pads to the kitchen. Death watched him go and wondered how and what his reaction would be once he realized what it means to be connected here. That too with the strongest cloud user in this world. If Death could smirk, he would. He is not going to easily allow someone to bound themselves to his young master. Harmonization or not, Skull better be ready for a future visit. Death had not foreseen his master's younger self would run into a flame user. They blame fate for that. Call Death possessive, but when you are unable to have a child of your own and you finally found one that belongs to you and accepts you for who you are, you can't help the feeling and desire to keep them to yourselves. Cherish them, protect them and teach them. Death understands that it's not possible for them to be with Harry all the time, and he'll still desire for human company, but all of a sudden he feels like a father readying his gun to greet the brat that stole his daughter's affection. He shook the feeling off and went back to ferrying the dead to their rebirth or final rest. He would return once Harry is ready to talk again. Yosh, that's one chapter done. I'll upload the next chapter soon after I make some tweaks. Hope you all enjoyed. Everyone took some time to come up with my one explanation on the dying wolf flames so it doesn't come off as copy and paste. There is still a lot Death has tell Harry, but it'll be in the next chapter and we'll have a sneak peek on what the Arcabaleno are doing. Arcabaleno. Hello everyone. I'm back. The picture is not mine. Hope you all enjoyed the last chapter. Without further ado, enjoy this chapter as well. Talking. Thinking. Enjoy. Reborn, who became a de facto leader. Let us start this 15th Arcabaleno meeting. Who wants to go first? Fawn. I wish to announce that I'm now a part of the Triads. Or rather, the Triads fear us and offered me a high position as a peace offering. After much thought I accepted it. It'll help in keeping track of the Familigias and their dealings. Lol merch, the brat Colonel. Hey, and I have decided to join Mafia Land for a while and perhaps take over it. Later on I'll consider joining one of the familias. I haven't decided yet which one though. Colonel, I'm interested in Mafia Land and taking over as the head. Everyone rolled their eyes. Viper's obsession with money was hilarious and annoying. Reborn's grin was shark-like. I have decided to carry on my freelance work while simultaneously offer Mafia boss tutoring to heirs. Everyone gave a collective shudder at that. They remembered Heck tutoring he had given Skull about the laws and intricacies of Mafia world. They also remembered how he had kicked their asses into gear and helped Heck level tutored them adjust to their new bodies while he himself was adjusting to it. The poor soul who gets reborn as a tutor better have a will ready. Ah well, if they can't survive training, they won't survive real life. Reborn, lackey, you have been quiet, too quiet. Why, Skull, I may have accidentally taken over the Carcassa Familia. Everyone's sweat dropped and burst out laughing. Skull ducked his head in embarrassment. He hadn't planned the takeover. He was just looking for more business to invest in to help his Sky. His Sky who was a civilian just like him. He didn't know why he hadn't told the others yet, but he figures it's his cloud flame possessiveness that was showing its ugly head. He decided to wait a bit more before telling them. Reborn's grin was particularly sadistic, evil and proud. He was probably the only one who could pull that off. Well done, lackey. I knew all those lessons would pay off. Viper, if you need help managing the accounts, I'm willing to help, for a fee of course. Colonel, dang not bad. Guess we have to step up our game lol. Fawn gave a serene smile while Verde nodded his head in respect. Skull looked at his makeshift family. They weren't perfect. They were hurt and broken, but they were his family. Maybe soon his Sky can be part of it too. Skull all of a sudden felt a shiver down his spine that made him lose focus only for Reborn to hit him and demand he paid attention to the rest of the meeting. They half wondered if the reason the hitman decided to become a tutor was because he was the one who taught Skull and already knew about his accomplishment. Nothing ever stays hidden from him, especially when it came to his student. To be continued. Hope you all enjoyed this story. Opening parenthesis, closing parenthesis. Next will be another chapter between Harry and Death, and he'll also be meeting a family friend and her son. Opening parenthesis, closing parenthesis. Till next time. Friends and harmonization. Hello everyone. I'm back. Hope you all have enjoyed the story so far. The art above is not mine. Credit goes to the artist. If anyone knows the name of the artist, please mention it in the comments so I can credit them. Talking. Thinking. Without further ado, enjoy. Harry went out to check the two-story house he was in. It wasn't hard to figure out what went where, as his counterpart had memories of living a full year in that house. He went downstairs to the kitchen to prepare brunch for himself and dog food for Padfoot. He noticed the photos in the hallway, of his parents, the first and the second, and couldn't help feel sad yet relieved. Sad because he wouldn't know them, relieved since he knew he wouldn't be able to face them without breaking down and being unable to explain why. After preparing brunch and eating it, Harry decided to try out his magic. He remembered the wand movements Mrs. Weasley had used to clean the dishes, and he gave it a go. He took out the Elder Wand that seems to know his desire, and he imitated the wand movements while desiring for the dishes to clean themselves. The dishes moved to the sink and started to wash themselves, and after being cleaned, they were put on the dryer. Harry was quite relieved that he could still use charms from the previous world. The wand thrummed in his hand in satisfaction before disappearing till it was needed again. Harry noticed Padfoot looking at him curiously. Harry found it curious how similar he looked to a Grim, yet his size was larger than a Grim's size. He half wondered if this world had its own magical creatures and if he'll meet them, while absent-mindedly scratching Padfoot and going outside to sit in the garden. The garden was a lovely and peaceful one. There were 3 sakura trees lining the back wall, and lilies, daisies, and roses planted near the wall. His parents' favorite flowers his mind supplied. It was a simple design but very homey. Padfoot ambled closer to Harry as he stepped out, and Harry hugged Padfoot as he chuckled and sobbed his heart out. He never got a chance to mourn before, but now he had time. A few hours had passed. He spent his time walking around the garden. Padfoot was sticking very close to him. He decided that his master needs to be protected. He's still suspicious of that figure. Meanwhile, Death. Achoo. What the? Must be the mutt. Harry returned inside to grab one of the toys Padfoot had and loved to play with. As he was going through Padfoot's toys he heard the front bell ring. It shocked him, but then he remembered both his papa and dad in this world had friends outside Britain due to their professions, and one of them probably visited. Yuki. Harry dear, how have you been? I brought you dinner. Harry. Mrs. Yamamoto. I'm getting better and thank you. I appreciate it. Hello Takeshi. The baby was a giggling ball of sunshine and reminded him of Teddy. He half wondered if he and Teddy would have gotten along together before he brushed that thought away. Yuki. I have told you to call me Yuki. Harry and my husband insist you call him Tsuyoshi. Harry chuckles. Of course, Yuki-san. As you wish. Would you like some tea and biscuits? Yuki. Yes please. If you don't mind. Your biscuits are to die for. Take-chan was fed before coming, so don't worry about him. Harry took out some biscuits and started to work on the tea while his mind supplied him information. Yuki Yamamoto, wife of Tsuyoshi Yamamoto, the man who helped Sirius crack a child trafficking case 10 years ago. They became good friends and stayed that way. He remembered seeing him at the funeral. It was after the funeral he decided to settle down with his girlfriend and open up a sushi shop. There was more to him he knew. But he'll ask Death later. The Yamamotos, despite their secrets, became very dear family friends to Sev and him. He lost his parents, though it was no fault of his own. After more chat and plans to ask the new member and mother in the community to join them for tea and maybe have a play date for their sons, Yuki left to help her husband out with the shop. She was a very bubbly and happy child, and Harry offered to babysit him during the weekends if she and her husband wanted some time off. Yuki was delighted. She loved her son with everything she had. She also wanted to spend time with her husband. Yuki left with a promise of another get-together. It was evening by the time she left. Harry returned to his room, after locking everything up, with Padfoot following him. He sat on the bed and cuddled up with Padfoot and started to talk to him. Hey Pads, Yuki isn't a bad person, she's hiding something, yes. She has a strange energy around her, yes, but she doesn't feel cruel or evil. Instead she feels rather protective and safe, you know. Padfoot just wagged his tail. To him the lady was okay, as she was a friend and made Master happy. He wasn't going to stop her from coming. Then Pad's fur stood on his back. That figure was back. Death, you're correct in guessing about her, Harry. Death chuckled when Harry gave a start, then pouted at him. Harry, you surprised me, Death, and she's a flame user too. Is that why she feels different and safe? Death, more or less, but she's not a fighter. She has training in martial arts, yes, but only a bit. She didn't delve into the finer points. Harry, you'll explain more, right? I used a charm earlier and it was really easy to perform, but I saw something in the magic, colorful flames. More than one color. Like a rainbow. Death stared at Harry. I see. Well, settle down, Master. This will be a long explanation. I already told you about what energy exists here. Now the types. Harry settled and did himself comfortable while Padfoot whined and cuddled closer to him. Death, there are two main types of flames, flames of the sky and flames of the earth. And among these flames there are 7 different types. There is also a third type called black flame. But only a certain group can use them. The 7 flame types exist in both earth and sky flames and can be recognized by their colors that are similar to the rainbow. Red is destruction, orange is harmony, yellow is healing, green is absorption, blue is calming, indigo is illusion. Violet is propagation. I'm not calling them the ridiculous me's the mortals gave them, so don't ask what they are called by humans. Most humans are able to have only one active flame type, very few have more than one type active. Harry, I have all 7. Death, yes, I figured. But I think it's because you have magic. Magic can cause all these effects, and because you have performed feats that all these flame types are capable of doing. You, dear M. Aster, awakened every flame gene in your body. Hence the multicolor. Harry thought about it and figured this was a case of nurture over nature. If you teach someone who is incapable of reading how to read, they'll slowly become educated. Death continued. There is also a curious case of leadership in this world. Orange flame users are considered natural leaders and are very highly coveted. Here Harry froze. Say what? He looked up at Death. What do you mean? Death, orange flame users have the ability to create harmony among different flame users. and the number of orange flame users compared to others are very low. Many flame users search for them to get a taste of harmony. Harmony for them is like coming home. Harry gave a dubious look. So what? Does this mean I'll have people after me? I won't have a peaceful life. Death laughed cruelly. Oh no, young master. Harry, don't call me that. I promised you peace and I'll deliver it. I have hidden you from them and would like to see them try to find you. Harry gave a relieved sigh at that. You worried me for a moment. I don't want to live this new life running. Done that enough already. Death nodded. However, this brings us to a predicament. It appears your younger counterpart already harmonized with a violet flame user, or as they call them, cloud flame user, and I can't in good conscience break it. The pain and backlash it'll cause won't be worth it. Harry, what? Wait, with whom? Wait, is it Skull? It is, isn't it? Is that good or bad? Death looked at Harry. Does it feel bad? You can search for the bond if you concentrate. Harry followed Death's instructions and took a sharp intake of breath. Oh. This feels amazing. Like nothing can hurt me. How peculiar. No, Death, it isn't bad. Death, there you have it, Harry. To themselves I will of course still visit him. After all, he's claiming to be capable of protecting you. Harry looked at Death at the mumbling but decided not to ask. Death seemed to be planning something. He'll figure it out later. Once he gets down from his euphoria. Death, that'll be all for now. Harry, you should have your dinner. It's late. Harry looked at the time and looked outside. It was already dark. He heard his stomach grumble and Padfoot looked at him as if asking food. Harry, yeah, okay. We'll continue this another time. Let's go, Pads. See you later, Death. Death watched over his master for a bit before leaving. This was enough information for tonight. He can tell him more tomorrow. And TBC Epsilon. Hope you all enjoyed this story. Yes, in this Yamamoto's were friends with the Blacks. No, the Blacks didn't use flames. But Sirius was high enough in power to have basic knowledge about it. Opening parenthesis, single quote, closing parenthesis. Till next time, my lovelies. Reborn's observations. Hello everyone. I got inspiration for this chapter after seeing that picture and rewatching the anime. Reborn is someone who really inspires others. His methods may be crazy and insane, but it's effective. This chapter is a tribute to the amazing man, tutor we all love. KHR and Harry Potter aren't mine. Talking, thinking, enjoy. After the meeting was over, Reborn went through all the information he had collected over the years on his fellow Archibaldino. They knew he had info on them, but they didn't mind. As the only capable healer of the group, it was imperative he knew everything about them. Though this in turn made him the most dangerous one of them all, but they trusted him not to betray them. Reborn still marveled at the trust he has shown, especially after his past when he was a lone hitman, unwilling to trust or be trusted in return. Reborn went through Skull's information, or as his comrades sometimes loved to tease, his first student's file. He remembered 15 years ago, after they were cursed, they were living in denial. They were struggling for 3 years with depression, anger, frustration and hate. He pushed them through heck-level training to help them and himself to take out their anger and to distract them from doing something they would regret. Then one day, the lackey returned different. He noticed that everyone noticed the change. Skull threw himself into the training and learned everything that Reborn and the others threw at him with a fervor only. Someone who had nothing to lose but everything to gain had. He was no longer lethargic and going through the motions because he had to. Skull may not have noticed, but his change of attitude affected others and helped them slowly but surely. Reborn knew about Skull's friend. He had followed him that day when he met the baby Sky in France for the first time. He was worried about the youngest as he was a civilian with no connections to the underworld and had taken to following him around when he went out. He remembered his own reaction at that meeting. Though he kept hidden from them, he could feel the waves of potent sky flames coming from the child. First a ridiculously overpowered cloud civilian, now a Sky. This is all Checkerface's fault. Reborn had followed them at a distance as the little 8-year-old Sky introduced Skull to his parents. He recognized Sirius Black. He was involved with the Sugar Wielder a few years back. He tensed up, wondering if he had to bust Skull out, but then as he observed the family, he realized they are rather serious, didn't know about the Archibaldino despite the fact he worked together with a Rain Flame user before. He watched over the family after Skull left and heard them talking about dwarfism. Reborn snorted. That wasn't a bad idea for a cover and wondered how much he can use that on. If people figured out he wasn't exactly a baby. He watched over Skull and covered him whenever he went out to meet his little Sky. He half wondered if Skull would tell the rest of them about his new bond. Skull knew they suspected something, but he also knew they wouldn't interfere unless it was life-threatening. Reborn closed Skull's file. He was quite proud of how his first student turned out despite his reservations. It was the reason why he decided to help the other Archipelago more actively. If a civilian that was dumped into their world could pull himself together, then why couldn't those who were already part of it for a longer time period get back on their feet? He never thought he would enjoy teaching others so much. It helped cement his decision to become a tutor. When he ed this particular information, there were many familiages who were interested in having him as a tutor. The fact he taught Skull, who was a civilian, and turned him into the dangerous powerhouse he is now, wasn't a hidden fact. It spoke highly of his ability, effectiveness and efficiency. Reborn looked through the request files he had received. The file that got his attention, however, was the one from the infamous Vongol of Familija, one of the oldest organization that exists till date. They were asking his skills not for themselves but to help train the heir of one of their allies. Reborn, interesting. So they want me to train the future boss. Reborn gave a sadistic smirk when he read through the file of his future student. File. Name of student. Dino Cavallone. Age. 8 years old. Personality. Cheerful, clumsy, lazy. Flame type. Sky. Bond. 1. Bonded name. Romario. Flame type of bonded. Rain School. Mafia Academy. And to be continued. This was fun to write. Opening parenthesis, closing parenthesis. Reborn's thought process is a little hard to get right. Hopefully I managed to cover it well. I love Reborn, especially the years between the curse and the canon events. Hope you all enjoyed. Till next time, Skull meets Death. Hello everyone, I'm back with another chapter. Harry Potter and Katekyoshi Hitman Reborn doesn't belong to me. The art doesn't belong to me either. Opening parenthesis, closing parenthesis. Talking. Thinking. Enjoy. Skull Ode down the familiar road after getting off the plane at the Japan International Airport. He was a little annoyed he couldn't visit his Sky earlier, but responsibilities were responsibilities. Reborn wouldn't have had it any other way. He had to return to Carcassa Familija first to make sure everything was going fine. He almost got a heart attack when he learned the debt the Familija had collected over the years. Viper would have lost their crap if they had heard what Skull did to get rid of the debt. He promptly informed all the members not to mention this to anyone outside the Familija UNLESS. They wanted the most money-crazy Archipelago out there to bury them in debts after debts. Viper may not say it, but they treat and loved Skull like their younger brother, sibling they never had. Skull had first approached Viper to teach them about the stock market. They were a bit suspicious, but after seeing how serious he was about learning, Viper added on to those lessons and taught him not only about how the market and world economy worked but also the underworld economy. Skull was surprised by the extra lessons. But he didn't complain. He figured if he knew about it he could help his little Sky out, so the lessons were worth it. If Viper ever found out Skull used his own hard-earned money from the stock market to pay off the debts of the Carcassa, well, they would spend another long week lecturing Skull while simultaneously making sure the Familija paid back every last penny Skull spent on their debts. Which, now that he thought about it, wasn't a small amount. Skull shivered. Viper better not learn about it. I can't protect you guys from them if they learn this information. Sorry. Viper was terrifying once they were on a roll. No pun intended. Namimori. I'm almost there, he thought. Harry. Wait for me, my Sky. I'll be with you soon. He couldn't wait to see his Sky. His flames were purring at the very thought. He saw the familiar 2-story house ahead and smiled to himself. Utaku was also excited to meet the human that made his partner smile. He remembered how sad he was when he first met his partner. Then he met little Harry and Skull started to smile more and more. It was still early in the morning, but despite that he could sense his Sky up and about. He parked his motorbike in the garage and walked in using the key Harry had provided him before, only to freeze near the kitchen door. Harry was pouring dog food for Padfoot, and there on the kitchen island sitting and watching him was a silhouette. He couldn't see his face, but seeing the silhouette made shivers run down his spine. He wanted to run the other way, but Harry was in the kitchen with that being. And he didn't know why or how, but he knew this being was dangerous, even more dangerous than the Archibaldino and Checkerface combined. Harry was smiling at the being and chatting with him. Skull, wait, what? What did I just see? Skull really looked and brought his hand to the weapon on his waist. Udaku, who was also frozen by the being's presence, became active and ready to defend. The being on the other hand looked amused at them. Harry looked up and smiled. Skull, you are back. Welcome back. Skull, I'm back. Harry, did you know you have someone in your kitchen? Harry was surprised at this. You can see Death. Skull, yes, wait, what? He is what? Skull looked at Harry alarmed. What had his sky got himself into while he was gone? He should have come back earlier. Who was this person? His cloud flame was gearing up and demanding he protected their sky. Then he heard the being chuckle. It sounded otherworldly and sinister. For some reason he felt it was only sinister towards him. Death, he can sense me, Harry, because he had brushed against Death in many of his previous stunts. The only reason he can see me, however, is because I wish for it. Harry, that's brilliant. Do you want some breakfast, Skull? I have quite a load to tell you. Many things happened. Partners, but also respected Death's choice. So he would only say his side of the story without sharing any of Death's secrets. Skull's eyes became so large at their easy companionship. Harry feared they would pop out. Skull knew this wasn't a trick. He also knew there was no mist user trying to trick them. Viper was the strongest mist user, and they trained Skull to pinpoint mist attacks. He knew this wasn't the work of flames. That being truly was Death. Even Udaku was wary of the being. Borderline terrified, Harry realized what Death was doing, and he was flattered by it and a little bit exasperated. Harry, I'm taking the trash out. Make yourself comfortable, Skull. Death, please don't terrify him much. He picked up the bags and went out the back door. Death, so you're the foolish human who thinks he can be my child's guardian. Very brave of you, mortal. Very brave. Skull swallowed the breakfast he was eating. Harry's food was delicious as always, but the being made it difficult to enjoy it. But Skull knew better than to piss the being off. Skull, yes sir, I am, and I will do everything I can to keep him safe and sound. Even give up my flames and go against the Vindice for him if necessary. Death looked at the cursed stuntman, making him fidget. He was telling the truth. Death could tell. Nothing could be hidden from the Collector and Guide of Souls. Death gave a nod when he was satisfied with what he saw. Death, very well, you may stay. Skull almost fell out of his chair at the instant admission. He had expected to fight more, maybe prove his strength. Harry walked in at this moment only to be jumped on by Padfoot and Udaku, who had made himself comfortable on Padfoot's head. Harry saw Death give him a nod and smiled wide with relief. He was glad the two of them were getting along. Now for the explanation. He wasn't going to lie, not to his bonded, but he knew he wouldn't be able to tell him everything either. It was still painful to think, let alone talk about it. But he knew he had to speak about it even just a little bit for his heart to start healing. Harry joined Death and Skull at the table for breakfast. And to be continued. That's all for now, folks. Till next time. Oh, hope you enjoyed letting go. Hello everyone. I'm back with another chapter. Thoughts? Talking? Enjoy. Harry sat at the table and looked at Death and Skull. He could tell despite their apprehension towards each other, they were amicable to the other's presence. It brought him relief. He realized they were getting along and he wouldn't have to play peacekeeper. He took a deep breath and took some of the breakfast spread and served himself and Skull. Harry, I believe you have questions for me. What would you like to know? Mind you, probably won't be ready to talk about everything. Skull looked at Harry. He couldn't pinpoint it, but Harry had changed. It wasn't in a bad way, but rather it seemed like his sky had become stronger. Cole wondered what happened to cause the look in his eye. The look of a soldier but without the darkness. The same look he sees on the Archibaldino when they think he doesn't notice. Skull, everything, and anything you can tell me from the start. I understand if you aren't able to speak of some things. I'll wait till you can tell me about them. The child grew up not knowing about his parents or his heritage. But when he turned 11, he received a letter saying he was to go to a special school for special children. Through the entire narration, Skull's eyes were wide as saucers. He could tell his Sky wasn't lying. He could feel it through their bond, his Sky's feelings. Harry became quiet. It was my first kill. I burned him to death. Skull moved to hug Harry, then looked at him. You said you learned magic in that school. Can you show me? Harry, you believe me? Really believe me? Skull shrugged. I was cursed into a baby. So why not magic school? Harry laughed. All right. Oh, I know. Wingardium Leviosa. The empty plates and glasses floated into the air and started moving towards the sink to be washed and later dried. The Cloud Guardian watched the entire thing, delighted by the magic show. Skull, this is pretty neat and useful. Harry smiled. Yes, it is. Skull, feeling ready to continue. You can take your time, you know. Harry, yes, I think I am. I know this L sounds incredible and will be hard to believe as I continue, but I ask you to be patient. Skull nodded and sat back, while Harry spoke about how the first year ended and he went back to his relative's place. His relative's lack of care for his Sky grated on his nerves, but he listened instead of shouting about it. Harry continued to tell about how his friends rescued him from his relatives, after a house elf, Dobby, caused trouble for him. Skull gave his approval for his friends. They sounded like good guardian material. He talked about the burrow, his friend's family, the blocked magical barrier, the misadventures with the car. Professor Snape chewing them out. Harry sighed, exasperated. Now that I look back, he was worried about me and hid that by threatening expulsion. That man, honestly. Skull couldn't help but snicker at Harry's expression. He couldn't help but think Severus was a no-nonsense father even back then to Harry. Harry continued to tell him about second year, the sham of professor they acquired. That had Skull's pedo senses rising. What sort of man tried to flirt with underage children? He decided to voice his thoughts later. Skull listened to Harry's recounting of the rest of the year. The writing on the walls, the voice that he only heard, learning he could talk to snakes, finding out his friend's baby sister was kidnapped, his Sky fighting a giant snake twice. The size of the building making him feel smug, and the pedo teacher trying to erase his Sky's memories, that almost gave him a heart attack. Skull was furious. What were the so-called teachers thinking? Keeping a man like that close to children. Harry, feeling Skull's anger, held him close. He could feel the anger wasn't directed at him. Skull, if that man is here, I will hunt him down and teach him a lesson myself. Harry laughed. I know the feeling. Merlin, that man always creeped me out. Skull, can you show me the spell you used, save Siri? Harry, sure. Expecto Patronum. From the Elder Wand came out a Patronus. The form shocked Harry. It wasn't prongs anymore. Harry remembered Tonk's Patronus changing because of Remus and wondered what caused his to change. Death, a Trestral, as expected. Skull gave a start. He had forgotten the being was there. Harry just looked at him questioningly. Death, remember Harry, you died in your previous world. Trestrals are symbols of death. And you accepted death, embraced it even. So your Patronus changed to show it. Skull gave Harry a look that he missed. Harry looked at his Patronus and gave a small smile. He always did like Trestrals, they were very gentle and misunderstood creatures. Harry then released the spell and continued to speak about his fourth year. The first official Quidditch match he watched that he wasn't taking part in, the attack. The tournament being held at the school, meeting other magical school students. The 3 tasks, Cedric's death, Voldemort's return and seeing his parents' ghosts. Skull hugged Harry tightly. He didn't say anything and just waited for Harry to continue his 5th year. Harry told him about how the adults tried to keep him out of the fight. How they tried to treat him like a normal kid, but alas, war never cared whether or not you were a child. He told Skull about the Ministry interfering with Hogwarts. Skull became furious when he learned what the Pink Witch did to Harry and the other kids. Harry had to hold Skull to calm him down. He got the feeling if Umbridge did get a second chance here, Skull is going after her. He couldn't help but smile at that thought. He literally hated her more than Voldemort, and that's saying something. Once Skull calmed down, he proceeded to tell him about his visions and how he lost Sirius. How the Ministry finally believed the Dark Lord was back. Harry became quiet after that. And Skull gave him time to gather himself. He spoke about his 6th year that started way better than the previous year. He told him about how Dumbledore had finally relented and had gotten Harry involved despite Mrs. Weasley's protests. He told Skull about the small fleeting romances that occurred in school, and Skull gave a little sigh of relief at some normalcy. He listened horrified as Harry retold Skull what Dumbledore told him about Horcruxes. Flames were part of the soul. To break your soul so many times. The very idea made the Cloud Guardian turn green with disgust. Yes, he understood Tom's fear of death, but this was ridiculous. Harry continued to tell Skull about the rising tension, about the Horcrux hunt, a hunt that continued to his 7th year, and how Dumbledore lost his life. Skull was shaking at the admission. His Sky had committed suicide. His Sky had committed suicide. He was so not leaving his Sky alone ever again. He just went through war. Harry held the shaking Cloud close to him. Death stayed near Harry as a silent support. When the shaking had subsided, he told Skull about meeting Dumbledore once again in the limbo, and the choices available. He chose to return and finish the job, but just because he was able to defeat him didn't mean he was well. He told Skull how his body gave up and Death, who was unwilling to take RRY before the time came, brought him to this world where he woke up few days ago. Harry wouldn't tell Skull about the Hallows, that was up to Death. If they gave Harry the all clear, he would explain about them, but otherwise, it wasn't his secret to tell. Skull stayed in Harry's embrace, basking in his Sky being alive, the half-eaten lunch being forgotten by now. Skull decided he was staying for a few weeks. He would call Carcassonne later and inform them of his decision. He could do the paperwork from here too, he decided. He was watching over his Sky for now. Maybe he'll call Reborn to do a checkup on him. Namimori was a neutral area anyway. It was a plan Skull decided to follow through, plus he could start introducing his Sky to others this way. To be continued. Single quote. But there are still some topics that are left untouched that'll be talked about later. Oh, after all, things are never simple. And Reborn will want full details, especially as he's a healer. He'll notice things Skull won't. Till next time, my dear readers. Play date with Baby Sky. Hello everyone. Opening parenthesis, closing parenthesis. Yes, I'm back with another chapter. No, I don't have a schedule for updates. Harry Potter and Katekyoshi Hitman Reborn doesn't belong to me. The beautiful art doesn't belong to me. My respect to the artist who makes such amazing art that inspires me to write this story. Talking. Thinking. Enjoy. It had been 3 weeks since Skull stuck close to Harry. 2 since Skull called Reborn to check up on his, now their Sky. Skull won't say it aloud, but Death meeting Reborn was both fascinating and terrifying. Harry. Flashback 2 weeks ago. They had just finished the spar when Reborn finally decided to talk to his lackey. He was ruthless in the spar, but it was necessary to let his anger out. In a safe manner. As safe as it could be for Archibalanos anyway. Reborn. He was manipulated. Our Sky was manipulated into thinking suicide was the only way to end the blasted war. Skull listened to Reborn rant. He had suspected as much but hadn't known how to broach the subject. Reborn. They are lucky they are dead. I would hunt them down myself otherwise. Skies should be cherished, not used. You made the right decision to stick with him. Watch over our Sky, Skull. I fear it'll take a long time before he recovers from this. Skull nodded and agreed with his mentor comrade. He trusted his judgment. Despite Reborn's nonchalance attitude, he was good at noticing things and making decisions. It's what kept them safe when they were all vulnerable. Skull, will you have breakfast with us, Senpai? And stay for today. Harry H. has been learning how to make Italian dishes and has become really good. Reborn, only for today we'll stay. After that I have to get my student back home and train him. I have no doubt our Sky has spoiled my student with his baking by now. Quote. Skull snorted at that. He knows how good Harry's treacle tart, pound cake, chocolate cookies and apple pie were. They had returned to find Dino covered in flow. And Romario trying to clean up while they were both apologizing to Harry, who was having a hard time pretending to be disappointed while stifling his laughter. It was a fun day, especially when Reborn asked Harry to bake some of his chocolate cookies that he can use to bribe Dino to train harder. Harry had laughed and agreed to it while Dino whined. They had left in the evening. Flashback end. No. Skull stayed with Harry, watching over him, comforting him during nightmares or when sleep was impossible, just staying there holding his sky. Harry had decided to write down some of the stories from his past world one night, like the tales of Beetle the Bard, Babbity Rabbity and her cackling stump, and the tales of the three brothers. Harry half wondered if he should publish them. Skull Pay. R.S. Only thought the tales were a riot and would sell well. Harry put it down as a possibility in the future and decided to write down his past in the form of a storybook in a way to get over it after embellishing the truth, of course. But this was something to think about later. Right now they had to host a play date. Yuki had made good on her promise and Harry was finally going to meet the new neighbor in town, today. A Mrs. Nana Sawada. Skull had looked up at the name. It sounded familiar to him but he couldn't recall where he heard it. Yuki had frozen when she saw the cloud archibaldino, but when she noticed how accepting Harry was she had relaxed. Yuki may not have been part of the more deeper intricacies of Mafia, but she recognized the archibaldino. Harry had explained to her how he met Skull and how Skull helped him. She became more accepting after that and announced that her little Takeshi had a play date with little Suna and if Harry would be consider hosting the two kids. Harry was delighted with the news and happily agreed to host the little smiling bun and his new friend. There was also the fact that both he and Skull were curious about the new family. Yuki however informed him that it would only be Nana and Suna. Apparently Suna's dad was called back to work a day ago. Harry frowned a little at that information and Skull distracted him by announcing he would help in setting things up. So here they were waiting with the Yamamotos. Tsuyoshi, when he saw Skull, had given him a nod. He knew about the cloud from his late friend and was grateful he was there for young Harry. As far as the swordsman was concerned, the cloud was family and deserved to be there. The doorbell rang and Harry got up to answer it. He saw the young mother and son waiting outside admiring his lilies and invited them in. Harry, come in, Mrs. Sawada. Hello little one. Welcome to my home. Suna was smiling happily at the warmth coming from Harry. Harry felt safe to Suna. Harry then turned to the mother. We are all in the kitchen. Nana smiled brightly. Please call me Nana. Mrs. Sawada makes me sound so old. You have a very lovely house, Potter-san, and such beautiful flowers. Harry led Nana to the kitchen where everyone greeted her. Of course, please call me Harry then. And thank you. Would you like tea, coffee or something else? Nana, tea please. Hello again Takeshi. Suna is here to play with you. Oh, I didn't know there was another child here. Harry laughed. Don't let his looks fool you, Nana. He may look young but he's older than all of us. Nana was shocked. Oh my. Is he a dwarf? Like in the fairy tales? It's my first time meeting one. Nana let Suna down on the play area that Skull had helped Harry set up. Suna promptly waddled to Takeshi and started to babble with him. There were many large soft toys for them to play with. Skull volunteered to watch over them while the four of them talked. Skull, I'm sort of a dwarf. Nana, nice to meet you. And I am a close friend of Harry. Nana, a friend of Harry is a friend of mine. Nana sat at the table with the rest accepting the tea Harry served her. Harry, so Nana, if it's not too much, mind if I ask what job your husband does? Nana, oh not at all. I believe he works at a large construction company and they are very demanding of his presence there. Suna was barely 8 months old but he kept getting calls from them calling him back. He tried to hold them back to spend time with us but... Quote, Nana frowned a little. Her husband had finally caved into the demands after 5 months of ignoring them. That was last week. Harry and the others shared a look, all wondering exactly what company would do that. You would think that there would be exceptions for children and new families. Yuri changed the subject. You know Nana dear, you should try some of these sushi that we make at the restaurant. She brought out the plate filled with sushi from Take Sushis and served everyone some. Harry agreed. Yes, they are really delicious. Tsuyoshi is truly talented when it comes to making sushi. He got up taking a plate and heading over to the play area. Skull your plate of sushi, he said with a dramatic flourish. Nana giggled at his antics and the two toddlers laughed and clapped, raising their hands wanting to be lifted up. Harry gave the plate to Skull and decided to humor the two little buns and used a little wandless magic to lift them both safely. Skull, who saw Harry use magic before, recognized it while the others thought he was just good with kids. Suna and Takeshi both snuggled closer to Harry, feeling warm and safe, and Harry melted at the sight the two made. Harry, you know I don't mind hosting more play dates like these. Or babysitting them for that matter. I think I would enjoy it really. Yoshi and Yuki just smiled at the content look on Harry's face. It had been a few long months since they saw him relaxed. Nana, are you sure, Harry? I wouldn't want to cause any trouble. Harry, positive, besides look at them. What trouble would they cause anyway? They all laughed at that, agreeing with Harry. Yuki was already making plans for a ladies' night out if Harry was willing to take care of the kids for a weekend. She could take her new friend Nana with her to enjoy and relax a bit. It would even allow Tsuyoshi to relax and unwind a bit as well as take care of a few moles. Skull smiled brightly. I will happily help Harry take care of them so you don't need to worry, Nana. Nana looked at her new friends and couldn't help but relax and feel happy. She'll admit she was a little reluctant to leave Tokyo and move to Namimori with her husband. However, with new friends by her side, it wasn't so bad to move after all. I don't need to be scared of being alone, and even Suna had made 2 new friends already. This isn't so bad. I can do this, Nana thought. Harry had moved the 2 giggling toddlers who were snuggling at his side to the table. Nana had taken Suna and Yuki had taken Takeshi from him. Both of them had pouted at being separated from the safe warmth. Both mothers giggled at the faces their children were making. Nana, looks like you're pretty popular with our kids, Harry. Harry looked back at them from the cabinet he had opened to take out the plates and bowls. Really? Thank you. Tsuyoshi helped Harry set up the table for lunch. Today's lunch was rice and braised pork with a mixed salad as side. There was baby food that Harry had made from scratch for the 2 munchkins. Nana laughed. Don't worry, if it's sweet, my Su-chan will eat it. Yuki, Takeshi loves apples. After feeding the 2, they had lunch together and spent the day laughing, talking and watching over the playing children till they fell asleep because of exhaustion. Both Yuki and Nana decided to take the kids home in the evening after agreeing to another get-together. Tsuyoshi patted Harry's back and left with his wife after Nana did. Harry turned to Skull. Harry, so what do you think? Skull, that little baby Suna is a powerful sky. And little Keshi is a very active rain. Reborn is going to have a field day if he ever finds out. Which he will some way. Harry's sweat drops. Not what I meant, but interesting to know, I guess. Hello Death. Welcome back. Death gave a slight nod. You look happier, Harry. Harry smiled brightly in answer. Skull was starting to get used to Death coming and going by now. Death made himself comfortable and wondered if he should tell them about the little sky's destiny in this world. Padfoot wasn't though. Then he shrugged and decided to leave it for next time. His young master was happy and he had enough time till the child turns 14 anyway. To be continued. There will be more interaction between baby Suna, Takeshi and Harry before a time skip happens. Oh, Skull will be staying with Harry and soon he'll introduce Harry to others. Don't worry, you'll know next time. Till then, my lovely readers. Viper and the Varia. Hello everyone. I'm back with another chapter. My respect to the artist for the amazing art that inspires me to write. Opening parenthesis, closing parenthesis. Talking. Thinking. They couldn't believe it the first time it happened. It was just a simple mission. To collect information on the powerful familigias that are currently present. Viper had first thought the teen was a storm following them around. That's when they noticed the young Rain following the storm. Rain and Storm have always worked well together and complemented each other's strengths, Viper thought. The brat was hiding his primary flame behind his secondary, no wonder I had underestimated him. A fatal mistake if it would have been anyone else. The 2 teens had taken them by surprise that day. The teen introduced himself as Xanxus and the younger brat who was barely a teen himself attacked him with his sword. Xanxus had introduced the sword brat as his right hand, Squallow, not like they cared much that time. Viper had given them the slip and went about collecting information on Vongola. Then while they were downloading some files from the CEDEF base, the 2 brats had found them again, this time with a third very flamboyant and colorful man, who called himself Lushuria. Viper could feel the sun flames coming from the third member. Not as powerful as Reborn but impressive nonetheless. Viper had once again given the 3 of them the slip. Xanxus had declared he was Quality, whatever that meant. The three kept following Viper around during his mission, which went on for 2 months, and during that time a knife-throwing brat, with impressive control on his storm flames, had joined the group. Viper was just happy the mission had no time limit, or he would charge them really high for wasting their time. Finally the four of them cornered the Mist user. Flashback. Xanxus, the Mist Archibelano. You are truly a slippery one. The kind of quality I like. Belphegor, Ushishishi. You even dodged all my knives. Not many can dodge them. This prince is very impressed. Lushuria. He may be one of the strongest, but he's adorable. Viper. And just what can I help the youngest Vongola heir with? Mind you, I charge really high price. Squallow. Void, watch it. You shitty Mist. Archibelano or not, I'll fight you. Xanxus puts a hand on Squallow. Calm down, trash. Then turns to Viper's inquisitive gaze. I'm offering a place for you in Varia. I have heard you love money. The pay Varia gets will please you. They had left Viper alone after that, with a meeting scheduled where the decision would be made. Viper went back to completing his mission peacefully. Flashback end. Now here they were in the castle with their second family. Viper thought back to Skull and had a sudden epiphany. The reason Skull became active and full of life and hope again, it was no doubt he had found a sky that accepted him. It had always rankled Viper a bit how the first one to bounce back from the betrayal of their previous sky was the youngest civilian member of the group. No. He wonders who the sky is that gave Skull a home. Are they treating Skull well? Is Skull happy with them? Viper thought to himself, I'll have to gather information again on my youngest student. Now that I think about it, Reborn also has a calm disposition about him since the last meeting. Viper also considered Skull his student, especially after he asked the Mist to help him understand the economy, both the normal and underworld. Viper would have to ask these questions at the next meeting, however. Reborn also no doubt found a sky, and it was itching Viper to know who they were and if they were treating Reborn and Skull right. So many questions but so little time for answers. They had another mission later, so they would have to put off the information collection for later. To be continued. Yes, 2 years has gone by now. I did promise a time skip and here it is. Oh. Till next time. Mafia Land. Hello everyone. This was a request I got from one of you readers. Z. You asked for Colonel next, so I'm writing what he is up to. Heart. Talking. Thinking. Enjoy. It has been 3 years since Colonel was the leader of Mafia Land. It had been 1.5 since Lol joined Vongola's CEDEF. She had found her niche among them and ironically her sky in the young lion of Vongola. It had tickled him silly that his serious as heck partner got such a goofy idiot for a sky. But he wouldn't and would not hold it against her, especially after everything that happened before. He had felt the betrayal through their bond, and dang. Did it bloody hurt or what? Like someone literally ripped his heart and flames out. He tried to reason he should not feel that way, that he never connected with Luce like the others did in the first place, but it was difficult with the constant pain his flames and body were going through. He didn't understand why till 2 years after the cursed Checkerface visited to check on them, Lol and himself especially. They went to attack the brat who was the use of all the misery but found it difficult with their chibified body. They glared at the masked figure with no small amount of hatred. Flashback. Checkerface, are you done, cursed rain users? Colonel, shut up brat. Why are you here? Quote, lol, we ought to kill you for everything you have done to all of us. Checkerface, I felt a change in one of the elements but wasn't able to check on it till today. Checkerface was looking at the 2 pacifiers that hung as a dead weight around their necks. A symbol of the curse. The irony of the situation didn't escape Colonel. Checkerface, oh my, isn't this fascinating? Lol, the heck are you on about now? Checkerface gave Lol a cold laugh. Isn't it obvious? Reject. The rain pacifier rejected you and chose the student as its holder. Flashback end. After that incident, Lol had retreated into herself and put her all into training like a zombie going through motions. Colonel despaired he was going to lose her. For a whole year he watched over her while he himself came to grips with his own situation. Then one day the youngest among them, and yes, Skull was younger than him, came back bright-eyed and hopeful. He had first approached Reborn, the scariest and deadliest among them to train him to become stronger. Everyone was shocked by this sudden change of attitude. But, Colonel O mused, that's when everything changed and things started to look up for the better. Single quote. Lol, he could tell was affected by the ferocity the civilian Cloud showed during the training. No matter what Reborn threw at him, the little Cloud got up and fought back, and sometimes the hitman had Lol train him in his place when he had missions. Colonel O knew it helped Lol, and sometimes he would join Skull in training and it was like being back in the army again. I wonder what caused the change in the kid back then. He had always cringed at the sight of death, even though he never shied away from them. Colonel O thought, I'll have to remember to ask him. That is if he doesn't divert the topic again. Reborn taught him diversion tactics well, a little too well perhaps. Colonel O remembered when Skull had announced his taking over the Carcassa. He was quite shocked, but it drove the desire and drive in him to take over Mafia land even stronger. It was a little funny how the Cloud had taken over and simultaneously got their respect and loyalty. Colonel O just hoped Viper never found out. For all his miser-like attitude, Viper was very protective of the young Cloud. There were 2 reasons for the Mafia land takeover though. 1, he just wanted to, and 2, you can get all the information on the underworld through Mafia land, which also meant information on Checkerface. One of the assistants knocked and entered the office he was in. Assistant, as you wish boss. Also we have the Visco's Familija and its newest boss visiting. They wish to meet you. Colonel O smirked. If they can pass the obstacle course, I'll consider it. The assistant smirked as well. Got it boss. Meet the Archibaldino that appeased them. He gave a shrug and went back to the paperwork. He had a meeting with Lol later and didn't want to return to a larger paperwork than necessary. Paperwork the bane of any leader. How did Reborn handle this? And to be continued. Hope you all enjoyed this chapter. Opening parenthesis single quote closing parenthesis. The next one will have Kid Suna and his kid friends old and new and Harry and Skull of course. Heart. We might see a sneak peek at what our favorite hitman is doing. Can't wait to write that one. Till next time, Little Sky and friends. Hello everyone. I'm back with a new chapter for you all. My respect to the artist and writers for creating such amazing works. Intersection. Talking. Thinking. Enjoy. It has been 4 years since Harry woke up here. 4 wonderful years, since he has settled down in the little town called Namimori. The first year was spent with Skull and occasionally Reborn dropping in with his adorable blonde student and Al. So getting to know the Yamamotos and Sawadas, they were such amazing people. Mr. Sawada was really lucky. Harry understood why he did what he did. Skull was very forthcoming with the information on the elusive man. But, there was a big but. Would it hurt him to just visit? Once a year, Harry stirred the cake mixture angrily. It was too much like Percy back home. They don't realize how much they hurt their family. Harry sighed and calmed himself down a bit. The second year, Skull's Familija started to visit their boss occasionally asking him to return. Skull was reluctant at first, but Harry put his foot down and bluntly reminded Skull as he was their boss and so he had responsibilities towards them. Skull had left for a total of 2 weeks before he returned again. It started a habit of school. L being gone for 2 weeks and returning and staying for 2 months. Reborn didn't help the matter by pointing out that Guardians always put their sky first. Harry swears the Chibified hitman was enjoying the drama. They had also celebrated Takeshi's and Suna's birthdays with the cakes he had baked with the help of the mothers. He was surprised to learn Reborn's birthday was right before Suna and everyone had decided to make it a double birthday celebration. Harry could feel his son's satisfaction through their bond. They had celebrated Skull's birthday by going to a stunt show as it was the request of the birthday boy. By 3rd year, Skull had managed to increase his visits to Carcassa to once a month. The members of the Familija were truly loyal to his Cloud and it made him very happy. Harry had also decided to publish one of the 3 storybooks he had shared with Skull, Babbity Rabbity and Her Cackling Stump. Strangely enough, the strange tale became a fan favorite in a week. Harry had spent his day laughing at the hilarity of it. They had also surprised Harry with a surprise birthday party. Harry may or may not have cried a bit. The Yamamotos had then introduced him to the Hibari family. Their youngest Habari Kiyoya had latched himself onto Suna, nicknaming him Bunny, much to the mortification of his parents. The three toddlers together were a riot with Leon, Udik, Yu and Padfoot, and Harry enjoyed watching over them, but for some reason the three kids loved to sleep on him. Both of the older Habari, however, had frozen at the sight of the Cloud Archipelago. Harry wondered if this was going to be a thing, but relaxed after Tsuyoshi explained why he was there. And now here he was, his 4th year in this world. It's funny how time flies when you are busy enjoying yourself. Harry had originally thought he would be suffering from nightmares and PTSD, and would be alone for a few years, but he wasn't, and he couldn't help but thank death enough for this second chance. He was healing slowly but surely. It was a wonderful, heady feeling, to be able to live without the fear for your life. His magic and flames thrummed inside him, content with how life was going. Death occasionally visited him from time to time. Sometimes they brought news from his previous world, how everyone was starting to move on and rebuild their lives. It was a slow process, but they were all healing, and Harry was relieved to finally let go of his guilt of leaving them to clean up everything. Flashback. Death. Harry, I have told you before. The world is not your responsibility. Huma, NS and other creatures are not your responsibility. They have a free will and are capable of being responsible for themselves. So stop blaming yourself and live your life. Harry, I know death. It's just sometimes hard to let go. But now I think I can start to let go bit by bit. Harry had smiled at Death as they patted his head in comfort. Death only came to visit Harry when he was alone now. Padfoot didn't mind their presence anymore, as he now understood that the being didn't mean his master any harm. Flashback end. He looked over at Suna and Takeshi, who was helping him in the kitchen, and gave a smile. The two 4-year-olds were helping him make cookies while he took care of the cake. Kiyoya, who was already 7 years old, was probably sleeping on Padfoot outside again. That boy's obsession with animals baffled him. For some reason Harry was dubbed Carnivore Tamer by the young Habari, and he couldn't make heads or tails of the title. Harry absent-mindedly thought, I wonder if Hagrid somehow followed me to this world. There were other adults who lived a second life after all. But he scratched that thought out just as quickly. Hagrid may love animals just like Kiyoya, but he wasn't a battle maniac like him. Harry's sweat dropped remembering how Kiyoya had challenged Reborn once and was beaten. The baby Cloud had gotten a glint in his eyes while looking at Harry and nodding his head, saying, Carnivore Tamer, again. The hitman had been amused while poor Dino was fretting. The young heir had finally gotten himself a full set of guardians and was allowed to take up the mantle of the boss. Harry had baked his famous apple pie and cookies that Dino adored to celebrate. What Harry didn't notice was Dino blushing at the care and attention he got from Harry, making Reborn smirk. His sky was a natural at seduction. Reborn was smirking gleefully at the chaos he could cause with this. Dino, when he saw the glint in his tutor's eyes, could only shudder and pray for the future targets. Reborn, Harry could tell, had decided on his 3rd student. He half wondered, watching the two 4-year-olds cutting cookie shapes, if the hitman would have considered training Suna and Takeshi as well if they had shown interest in learning. Suna looked up and smiled at Harry. Suna was another point of contemplation for Harry. He knew Death knew something but wasn't telling. He would wait though. He was sure Death would tell him when time comes. Suna, Harry ni, the cookies are ready to be baked. Harry, good job Su-chan, Keshi-chan. They look really neat and delicious. Harry had He sat down when he realized both Suna and Takeshi had made themselves comfortable on his lap. He couldn't help but snort at their habit, already 4 years old, yet they still behaved like toddlers. Ari held them close so they didn't fall accidentally and waited for the cookies and cake to be ready while the two kids talked about their day. It was wonderful to be alive. And to be continued. Next chapter will come soon. Hope you all enjoyed this one. Opening parenthesis, closing parenthesis. Till then, my lovely readers. Hyper Intuition. Hello everyone. I'm back with another chapter. I was requested to do a Suna POV. I'm home. Streetly a little excited to write a POV from a kid's view. Opening parenthesis, closing parenthesis. Talking. Thoughts. Please enjoy. Suna had just woken up because of a ringing like warning going off inside his head. He would be turning 5-year-old soon, in 2 weeks, and he was really excited about it. As far as he could remember, his family was his mom, the Yamamotos, the Hibaris, Dino Nitan and his weird family, and Harry Ni and his friends, Skull-san and Reborn-san. Speaking of Reborn, his birthday was right before Suna's, though the baby man insisted on celebrating it along with Suna's birthday, claiming it was more fun and chaotic that way. The voice inside him purred and said that's what a father should be like, and Suna couldn't help but start calling him Papa Born. It made Harry Ni smile brightly and Skull laugh while Reborn just pat his head. Skull was like that crazy uncle who had many underlings and loved doing cool moves and stunts. He couldn't ask for a better and more amazing family. His best friends were Takeshi and Kiyoya. Sometimes being around Kiyoya made his insides do a flip-flop, and the voice inside him purred and made him want to make Kiyoya happy and get his attention whenever possible. Kiyoya made him happy for some reason. He had asked his mama about it last year. Mama squealed and gushed how much Su-chan was growing up. And she was so happy for him. Suna didn't understand what Mama was saying, but seeing her happy, he thought it was a good thing. He started to spend many time with Kiyoya and Takeshi. Their parents allowed it as long as Harry Ni was watching over them. Suna had talked to Harry about it 2 months after he told Mama. He understood a little bit then what he was feeling. Flashback. Suna pulled Harry's pant leg. Harry Ni, Su-chan wants to tell you something in secret. Harry looked at Suna. What is it, Su-chan? Keshi-chan just went out to get Kyo-kun, so you can tell me. Suna fiddled his fingers. When Su-chan is around Kyo-kun, Su-chan's heart goes doki 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 doki. And stomach feels like it has butterflies flying inside. Harry patted Suna's head, feeling very amused. Oh, Su-chan, what you are feeling is a hurt. Don't worry about it much and just enjoy it. Okay, sweet child. Suna had snuggled close to Harry for reassurance and smiled, feeling happy after understanding more. Harry Ni didn't seem to mind when he did that and instead held him close, making Suna feel safe and at home. The warmth inside him purred in happiness every time he was close to his Ni-san, and he couldn't help but try and stay close to him. Flashback end. When Suna had learned about Father's Day and Mother's Day in kindergarten, he was excited. He planned to celebrate Mother's Day with Mom. As for Father's Day, Suna had gone to Harry to ask when Reborn was coming back. Harry had told him Reborn would be here 2 days before Father's Day. Suna was happy, but the voice in his head was warning him something was about to disturb everything. It kept warning him something would happen, and he had no idea on what to do about it. It was disturbing his sleep, and 2 days later Harry noticed it and pulled him aside, asking him what happened. Orange-colored stone on it. It was really unique and pretty, Suna thought, and after wearing the necklace the voice inside his head calmed down and started to purr, repeating, "Safe," again and again. Necklac, with the help of death to hide the little sky's flaws. Suna wondered, is Harry Ni a magician who knows how to solve every problem? The voice laughed, saying, "You have no idea." Suna knew the voice knew something about Harry Ni, but for some reason he couldn't figure it out. Then it happened after a fun Father's Day, where he gave the card and gift he made himself to Reborn. Reborn was smirking at the thought of rubbing this on the Vongola lion's face. The lion of Vongola, Suna's father, came to Namimori with his boss. Suna was annoyed. He didn't know who this strange man was and he tried to hug him. Suna had screamed, "Pedophile," just like Ryusuke. Otusama had taught him, and ran to his mama, who had ran out of the kitchen holding the large meat knife that Harry had gifted her on her birthday last year. Flashback. Nana, thank you, Harry. Oh my, such a large knife. Harry, it's a meat cleaver, very useful in cutting smooth pieces of meat and good in defending yourself from thieves, pedophiles and burglars. Suna had seen Mama's eyes twinkling at that. She wasn't one who was into violence, but she hated pedophiles like the plague. It had become her favorite tool to use in the kitchen. His mama was shocked seeing the blonde man in their house, and that made Suna nervous, and he had started to slowly walk towards the phone near the kitchen door. He was about to call the Hibaris when he heard Mama addressing the man. Suna just knew he wasn't going to like it. Nana snickers. "Su-chan, this man here is not a pedophile. He's your papa." Suna, "But Mama, I already celebrated Father's Day with Papa Born last week. How can this man be my papa?" The man had squawked at that and demanded to know who was stealing from him. Mama however had put him in his place. Nana, if you dare hurt Su-chan's friends, Iamatsu, you are not stepping a foot inside this house ever again. Iamatsu whined, but Nana, no Iamatsu, you haven't been here heaven knows how long. You have no right to demand anything from Su-chan. Su-chan had giggled at that and he noticed the old man beside his so-called dad was trying to stifle his own laugh. The old man had introduced himself as Timoteo and asked Suna to call him Nano. Nano was warm but not as warm as Harry ni, Suna decided. There was a darkness in him and his so-called father that made him uneasy and avoid them. Flashback end. Suna didn't want to stay in the house with them and told Mama that he was spending the day with his friends. His mama had agreed and let him go to Harry's home after breakfast. Iamatsu had not gotten up yet. He had apparently drunk himself to sleep and Suna didn't like it. Harry ni had once told him that alcohol was only for special occasions and should not be taken otherwise. What Suna didn't realize was the necklace he wore protected his flames from being sensed at full strength by the two Vongola men. All they could feel were wisps of sky flames, like from someone who hadn't awakened yet. They would leave a week after deciding there was nothing to worry about and that Tsunayoshi hadn't even activated his flames yet. Iamatsu was so relieved and happy the first night after Nano had told him. Suna didn't have any active flames, he drunk himself silly. He hoped that his son never activated his flames and was spared from the horrid history of Vongola. Suna, alcohol is not cheap. I'm so happy Skull-san taught us about money and its value. Reborn's lessons on maths and politics are so much fun. I don't know why Dino Ni-tan complains about it. The voice just snickered when Suna thought about how much Dino tries to avoid Papa Born's lessons. The lessons weren't that bad, they were actually fun. Of course the punishments Papa gave them re-embarrassing and Su-chan doesn't want to go through that again, he thought walking nearer to a very familiar home. Suna rang the bell at Harry's home, and Skull welcomed him inside asking him if he had breakfast. Suna answered and went to spend time with Harry and to his pleasant surprise, Dino Ni-san and Papa Born were there too. As far as Suna was concerned his family was with Harry Ni. And he didn't need a stranger claiming to be his birth father. When he told Papa Born about it, Reborn just smirked wickedly while patting his head proudly. Harry had called Takeshi over and said Kyo-kun would be here after school. Suna could honestly say he is happy and his voice and warmth purred inside him in agreement. To be continued. I was wondering if I should allow Suna to be sealed, then I realized Harry wouldn't accept it. Nope, he would do his best to reverse it and Death knows this and would tell him. Oh, Iamatsu tries. He's not perfect and he makes really big mistakes but he tries, you know. He tried to keep Suna out of the Mafia but Nano overruled him. Opening parenthesis closing parenthesis. That's all for today till next time my lovely readers. Fawn's position. Hello everyone. Double update. In one day. Yes it is. Intersection oh intersection. You can thank the amazing artists for giving me the inspiration for this chapter. Harry Potter and Katekyoshi Hitman Reborn doesn't belong to me. The art doesn't belong to me either. Talking. Thinking. Please enjoy. Fung or Fawn is a patient and calm person. You had to be to master the many different martial arts that exists in the world including Storm Flames. You had to be patient to watch over your rambunctious clan and family members, who are ironically the descendants of the warlords of ancient China and now Japan as well. Therefore have a high level of bloodthirst in them. The only time he lost his temper was when he realized the betrayal of their sky. Checkerface was probably the only person who could make him loose the tight control he had on his temper. Fawn calmed down and sweat drops just thinking about all the trouble the youngsters in his clan got into, especially the son of his youngest sister. Mitsuki Wong. Now Mitsuki Hibari was the youngest daughter in the family. Fawn's father had married many men and women out of politics rather than love. The only people his father truly loved were his children. No one in the harem was above or below in his father's eyes. They were only fulfilling their responsibilities, nothing more. Fawn and his siblings never knew their mothers. They only ever interacted with their father. From the 12 members in the harem his father had only 6 children. Long and Yulang were twins and the heir and heiress of the clan. Fawn was the 3rd child and Wei was 4th. Baichan was the fifth and Mitsuki, who was named after her mother, was the last. Unlike the older heirs, the younger siblings were free to pursue their dreams. While Fawn had put his all into learning martial arts and mastering the storm flames, Wei had followed his heart and married into the Lan family, who weren't part of the triads unlike their family. Baichan in her youth was a rebel and always created trouble for everyone. Fawn snorted. Life debt. Am I? Tsuki on the other hand went back to her mother's homeland and fell in love with the Hibari heir. Fawn, I only hope he doesn't attack me the moment I land in Japan or greet them. Fawn had also heard from his trusted Vine. Reborn made regular visits and Skull stayed half the year in Japan. He wonders why that was and suspected they found a sky, but till he got more evidence he would be patient and wait. Fawn, my tea is finished. Servant, Master Fawn, would you like more tea and snacks? Fawn smiled. No thank you. I have a meeting with Lord Wong in a few minutes. Lord Wong, welcome my son. Sit, sit. We have a matter of grave importance to discuss with you. Fawn, greetings father, brother, sister. What is this matter you speak of? You look worried. Long, brother, we received intel that someone is targeting our youngest sibling. Fawn's eyes sharpened. How accurate is the information? Yueling, it was the last piece of intel I received from my shadow before she had to go underground. In case her position was compromised. Fawn smiled sharply. I see. Well, I was planning on visiting Japan to see little Kiyoya anyway. If what Mitsuki says is right, our darling nephew has found his sky. Yueling looked at Fawn. Truly. But he's still a child though. Long, yes. I heard about it from one of the protectors I had stationed there. According to him, our nephew spends most of his time with two boys. I suppose one of them is the sky. Fawn, you're no doubt right. They must be quite something for our battle maniac nephew to accept as a leader. Fawn, very well, father, brother, sister, I shall go and visit them. Do you have any gifts you wish to send them? I'll be leaving tomorrow at noon. Long, yes, I had commissioned a weapon made specifically for him. A congratulatory gift for finding his sky. Yueling, brother, why didn't you say something before? I don't have anything prepared for him at all. I need to make something for him. You'll get his gift tomorrow. Fawn, I need to work on it tonight. Quote, Fawn just smiled at the twins. They were truly hilarious when it came to family. He couldn't have picked better leaders himself than his two older siblings. Now if only eldest brother and sister would marry and stop eyeing Kiyoya as a possible heir. He knows Kiyoya would never accept the leadership. He hates people just like his mother and loves solidarity like his father. He can't wait to see him, and perhaps if he's lucky he'll run into the other Archibaldino. To be continued. So this chapter turned into a sneak peek of Fawn's family. I'll be home. Saint, most of it is based on the Chinese triad novels that I read about. I tried. Hope it's not confusing or anything. It was fun writing another Archibaldino. Hope you all enjoyed this chapter. Hollow Circle till next time. Meeting the Sky and Little Sky. Hello everyone. I'm back with another chapter. Harry Potter and Katekyoshi Hitman Reborn doesn't belong to me. The picture is a screenshot of the anime, so it doesn't belong to me either. Talking. Thinking. Enjoy. Fawn had arrived at Japan by evening and Namimori by the next day. He would have preferred to have reached his destination by night, but alas, duty calls. The informant had moved to Japan to find out about the target's employer, and Fawn had to spend a night taking out a traitor. It was always messy to get rid of traitors, but as long as his family was safe he would kill as many traitors as possible. It was with relief he entered the Hibari mansion and be greeted by the youngest sister. Fawn, greetings dear sister. Wonderful to see you again. Mitsuki, greetings second elder brother. Welcome to our humble home. Author, humble, yeah right, it's a bloody Japanese castle is what it is. Check out the manga, you'll know what I mean. Fawn smiled at the warm welcome. Most people would think Mitsuki was being too uptight and formal. It wasn't to Fawn, however, who has raised her since she was a baby. He could tell she was very relieved and happy to have him here. Fawn took out a bag. Father, eldest brother and sister send gifts for your family. Fawn, apologies for the sudden visit Suki-chan. But duty called me to Japan. Caught. Some traders who were selling private information. Mitsuki. Ah, should I warn Ryu? Is it dangerous? Should we prepare ourselves anyway? Fawn. Oh no, you need not worry about it. Father, Elder B. Rother and sister sent gifts for Kyo-kun for finding his sky. We got it handled and are very curious. Fawn tensed a bit. Oh, is there now? How powerful exactly? And what are his intentions? Mitsuki. Very powerful for a civilian. And I'm not sure he knows much about the underworld despite his acquaintances. He's safe. Fawn's eyebrows shot up. Civilian. Acquaintances. Hard to believe. Mitsuki. How about we go there now? Both school and kindergarten will be out by now and the 4 kids are no doubt going to Harry-kun's place to play. I'll call Ryu to inform him where we're going. Fawn. Perhaps that'll be better than just speculating. Both siblings went out towards the east side of Namimori where Harry's house was located. Fawn was looking forward to seeing his battle maniac nephew and to meet the 2 elusive skies. How come no one heard of the 2 skies and how were they not picked up by the Mafia? It baffled him. He saw the decently large 2-story house. The garden was lush and well kept and they could hear laughter coming from the backyard. Fawn saw his sister smile as she rang the doorbell and couldn't help but think, that's a plus, and be a bit excited to meet them as well. He knew how much Mitsuki hated people. The door opened and Fawn was pleasantly surprised to see Skull answering. Skull. Welcome Mitsuki-chan. Fawn. You're here too. Come in. Come in. Reborn's here as well. We're all in the backyard having tea, coffee and juice. Harry made his special chocolate chip cookies. Skull prattled on as he led the 2 siblings to the backyard of the house, where Fawn could see his nephew sleeping on a. Is that a wolf? Fawn gave. Thinks about that incident when Ryohei followed Kiyoya home and wouldn't leave despite the fact Kyo-kun beat him up. At least they don't have a penchant for pranks. He saw the silver-haired boy exuding sun flames, who was shouting, extreme, and sparring with Reborn. Oh dear. There was also a cute Sky. Harry, who once again had a giggling Suna on his lap, turned to them and smiled. Harry, Mitsuki-chan, welcome back. Who's this with you? Suna and Takeshi. Welcome back Aunt Suki. Mitsuki smiled. I'm back. This is my elder brother Fawn. He came to visit. Oni-sama, this is Harry Potter. The young boy on his lap is Tsunayoshi Sawada. The child next to him is Takeshi Yamamoto, and the silver-haired child trying to fight your comrade is Ryohei Sasagawa. Fawn. Hello everyone. It is nice to finally meet you. I have heard quite a lot about you. Harry laughed. All good things I hope. Skull laughed. Whatever he heard, it wasn't from Skull-sama. Suna giggled and ate another cookie while Takeshi pouted as that was the last cookie. Ryohei and Reborn had come over at that moment. Reborn nodded. Chaozu Fawn. What brings you here? Fawn. Mostly business and curiosity. Kyo-kun, I have gifts for you. It's from your eldest uncle and aunt. Reborn. Ho. Gifts from the boss himself. Skull. This will be interesting. That woke Kiyoya up and the 9-year-old walked over curious. He opened the first present from his aunt. It was a basket with a small porcupine. It was one of the ones bred by their family. Kiyoya, who loved animals, promptly named him Roll, making everyone sweat drop. Next he opened the one from his uncle. He got a wicked gleam in his eyes when he saw the gift and turned to Reborn. Kiyoya, carnivore baby, fight me. This started another spar and Harry looked Fawn over. He could feel his flames acting up near the 3rd archipelago that he came in contact with. It distracted him a bit, the incessant buzzing of his flames, but he decided to see where it goes naturally. Fawn was observing Harry ask well, he didn't notice it earlier but now he could see it. The older Sky was shielding the younger one and hiding him from others. Fawn was now very interested in Harry. Not only is he the Sky Skull bonded with, but he was also shielding the younger Sky from others, making it seem like he had no flames. That takes a very impressive amount of focus, skill and control. Even then it's not possible to do it 24/7 the way the Sky in front of him was doing, or there was a mist flame ring on the little Sky. It would have worked too if Fawn hadn't been trained in sensing flames and flame bonds. Fawn had already planned to stay for a while anyway, so he'll figure out all the secrets about the mysterious Sky soon. He half wondered how such a powerful Sky avoided the Mafia though, and Checkerface. He would have hunted him down if he knew. To be continued. Hope you all enjoyed this chapter. So Fawn has met the gang and Ryohei has finally joined the group. Opening parenthesis closing parenthesis. Till next chapter my lovelies. Life goes on. Hello everyone. I'm back with another chapter inspired by the art above. The art is not mine. Respect to the artist. Weird where inspirations come from. Talking. Thinking. Enjoy. It had been a few months since Fawn's visit. Harry couldn't help but think that Kiyoya looked more like Fawn rather than Hai's parents, though on hindsight that's probably because they were similar in sizes than anything else. Having Fawn around was a riot on its own. Who knew he loved to troll others so much? Skull took it in stride while Reborn took it as a challenge. Harry, at the end of the week we even harmonized. Well, at least the kids were home that day. Harry couldn't help but sweat drop when death came in all his glory and unnerved Fawn. He was exasperated and simultaneously tickled silly at the drama that seems to become a must-happen every time he harmonized. Death had given their usual intimidation speech. And when Fawn stayed stubbornly they accepted him and left. Fawn almost face-planted to the ground out of sheer absurdity at the easy acceptance. Skull and Reborn meanwhile was laughing at the storm KN, owing full well the feeling of facing literal death in the face and being accepted instead of killed. Harry thought back to the kids that he had come to love as his own. Kiyoya had taken to learning how to use tonfas as a duck to water. From what he learned from the gossip, the youngest Hibari had staked claim to the school as his territory. Harry had laughed himself stupid when he heard that and half thought if Mooney had manifested himself in the young boy. Kiyoya had also taken it upon himself to patrol the school and kindergarten. He had even found himself a subordinate of all things, Kusakabe Tetsuya. A student from middle school that he had saved from being mugged. Harry, it's like he's starting his own mafia group. Wait, better not jinx it. Author. Too late. They planned to go to the same school as Kiyoya, who would be able to spend 2 years with them there along with Ryohei. How time flies by. The youngest kids will be 7 years old soon and the oldest kids 10. It's almost like yesterday when he had first met Suna and Takeshi as babies and held them. Harry couldn't help but pout. They are growing up so fast. Ah well, Suna would be having a younger sibling soon, so I guess it isn't so bad. Flashback. 7 months ago, Harry had called the Sawada household to talk to Nana about a sleepover that the 3 boys wanted to have. He was curious about Mr. Sawada, but he figures he would meet him later. Nana answered, "Hello Sawada residents. How may I help you?" Harry, Nana-chan, it's me Harry. Nana, Harry-kun, what is it? Did something happen? Is everything okay? Are the kids all right? Harry, calm down Nana. Everything is fine. Don't worry. I was actually calling because the kids wanted to do a sleepover party tonight. Nana, is that all right? I don't know, I mean, I was hoping Su-chan and Iamatsu would be able to get along, but... Well, Harry, I see. Suna is angry at him, isn't he? Nana sighed. Yes, it doesn't help he drinks a lot and is very overwhelming when it comes to Suna. He loves Suna, believe me he does, just. Quote, Harry sighed. Nobody's perfect. I understand. Well, tell you what Nana, why don't you let Suna spend the night here? He might cool down a bit and give his father a chance. Also, I know you missed him a lot. You can use this chance to catch up. And maybe give Su-chan a little sibling. Nana blushed even though Harry couldn't see it. It was true, however, she missed him and she has needs, for crying out loud. She may be a mother, but she's also still a young woman. Nana spluttered. Harry laughed. Let me watch over Su-chan. And friends, and you spend the night with him. You need it, you know. Both of you do. Nana sighed but smiled. Thank you Harry. I don't know what I would have done if you and everyone else weren't here. Alright, Suna can stay. I'll send some clothes over. I'll be going shopping so I can drop them off then. Families to inform them about the plan. It went as expected. Reborn dragged Dino to the sleepover late in the evening. How he found out Harry decided not to ask despite his curiosity. Dino had come to adore the 3 kids during the time he spent there, and Harry couldn't begrudge him for that. He remembered wanting many siblings himself when he saw Ron's family. Padfoot enjoyed the attention he got from all 3 kids. Flashback end. Now Nana was expecting twins after that night. Even T. Suna had mellowed out and started to talk to his father on the phone, though he still considered Reborn his real dad. Harry couldn't help but shake his head at the family drama and wondered how this will affect the future of the family. He could only hope for the best and be there for the little one when he could be. Harry opened the door. Su-chan. Come in. What brings you here today? Suna. Ma wanted some of your cake and I wanted to visit. Harry, you're always welcome here, Su-chan. No matter what. Okay. Suna nodded. Harry guess what? Harry, what is it, little one? Suna beamed. I can create the same pretty flames you can. He cupped his hands and summoned the flames that he had seen his niece-san use whenever he was here. Suna. Look. Harry I'm just like you. Harry laughed and hugged the little boy. Yes you are. Yes you are. We have to celebrate. I'll inform everyone and we'll have a party. This is amazing, Suna. I knew you could do it. Suna laughed happily. Now we just need Takeshi to be able to create the pretty fire, then we'll be a team. And I can protect my little siblings just like you protect me. Harry, of course Suna, but you have to be patient. Everyone is different after all. You'll get there, I promise. Harry put Suna down and went to inform everyone about the achievement. His kids may be growing up fast, but he'll be there to celebrate every milestone. He was grinning thinking about the chaotic party Reborn and Skull will insist on having. Maybe Fawn will be there too. To be continued. Hope you all enjoyed this chapter. I had fun writing it and giving a backstory of what happened in Suna's home while he was with Harry. Opening parenthesis, closing parenthesis. Yes, he'll be a big brother in this fic. Till next time, my lovely readers. CEDEF lol. Hello everyone. I'm here with another update. Epsilon. Talking. Thinking. Enjoy. Lol. Merch was annoyed. No, not annoyed, she was apoplectic. The reason behind her irritation. Iamatsu Sawada. Her idiotic sky. She couldn't. Iamatsu whined. Lol. Why? Lol. Wake up, you idiota. You still have paperwork to do in a meeting in 2 hours. Iamatsu. But lol. Do I need to go to the meeting? Why can't no. Just attend them. Lol slapped Iamatsu out of sheer annoyance, because it is your job to keep the boss safe as the head of CEDEF. Lol. Merch remembered the first time she had seen the idiot at Mafia Land. He was there for a meeting. She had felt a zing in her flames when she noticed him but ignored it in favor of observing them. It didn't take long for things to deteriorate and fights started to occur. She had joined out of sheer boredom and that was when it had happened. Her flames combined with his and it felt like coming home for the first time after being adrift for so long. Of course the feeling of amazement didn't last for long when she realized how annoying, incompetent and lazy the idiot was in reality. She wanted to shoot him so many times for all the headaches he caused her. Within that same day they had harmonized. Colonel Lo, the annoying brat, had laughed himself stupid and Lol had kicked his straight ways till Sunday. She would admit she was a bit reluctant to leave him and would have stayed behind if he hadn't encouraged her to go on ahead with him. Flashback. Colonel Lo, he's your sky. Lol. Go with him. Just because Luce betrayed us doesn't mean other skies will as well. Lol. I know that, stupid student. Will you be alright with me gone though? Colonel Lo, of course. Just because we're separating now doesn't mean we won't see each other again. You could always visit or I could visit instead. Lol. Yeah, guess there is that. Why this idiot though? I'm dreading the headaches in the future. Colonel Lo had laughed at her at that and she had spared with him in return. She doesn't regret following Iamatsu, but she could do without all the extra headaches. Flashback end. Lol went back to her job and watched over the monitors while arranging the paperwork for Iamatsu to sign. The idiot had brought a child in the other day, and not just any child but the son of his late comrade. Who knew there would be someone crazy enough out there to name him their kid's godfather? Lol rubbed her temple. At least the kid wasn't weak or soft. Living in harsh conditions had toughened him up. Young Basil with the right training would make a fine addition to the CEDEF. She personally had decided to watch over his physical training, not trusting Iamatsu to get emotional and put it off. He had become overbearing, too overbearing for the child to handle. Especially after his wife had told him about the second pregnancy. He started to baby the youngest, which flabbergasted and embarrassed Basil, but it wouldn't do, as hilarious as it was to watch him turn red. No, If he was to stay here he needs to be trained, and Lol will be damned if anything happened to the youngest just because they couldn't bring him up to par with the others. She would avenue the mother henning and coddling to Iamatsu and train the cub herself. Now I just need to get these papers signed and no one can contest against me and my third apprentice. Lol thought, walking towards the main office. Lol slammed the door open. Blonde idiota. Sign these. Stop bothering Basil. You look like a pedophile for sanity's sake. Iamatsu, who was hugging Basil and nuzzling him, but Lol, my godson is so adorable. How can anyone resist? I can't wait to introduce him to Sue-chan and my future twins. They'll get along splendidly. Lol, who was having tick mark over her head, idiota. Sign this right now or I swear I'll cut off whatever communication you are having with your family tonight. Iamatsu grabbed the papers. Hi. No Lol. I will. I'm signing. Please don't cut off the line. I just started getting along with my tuna fish. Lol grumbled, taking the papers back and letting it be processed. She smirked when her request was accepted, and now Basil was officially Lol's apprentice. Just thinking about Iamatsu's expression when he learns about what just happened made her smirk and go about her day quite happily. She would have to call Colonel O and inform him about the development, and knowing him, would want to pitch in to train the youngest. He certainly did so with Skull when she had taken over his training during the times Reborn had missions. She looked forward to what the future brought. She knew from the others Reborn had taken on 2 more kids as his students and gave him credit for giving her the idea to take on Basil as her own. Teaching and watching students become successful was truly satisfying. To be continued. Someone asked for Lol merch, so I delivered. Heart. I love Lol. You gotta give her credit for standing with Iamatsu despite all the crap he pulls. Dang woman has the patience of a saint. Opening parenthesis, closing parenthesis. Till next time, my lovely readers. Verde. Hello everyone. I'm back with another chapter for you all. Z. Remember to vote. Y. Oh, you have till the end of this story for the final count. Cubed. Harry Potter and Katekyoshi Hitman Reborn don't belong to me. The art doesn't belong to me either. Talking. Thinking. Enjoy. Months back. First the curse, now magic is real. Oh, did he forget to mention he harmonized? Or the creepy entity who's apparently death-threatening him? How is this his life again? And how did he get here? With the ridiculously bright Sky and a mini Sky as well, who loves to evaluate the older one as much as possible. Not to forget the mini Sky has 2 baby sibling Skies as well. Verde. Reborn, are you Sue? You aren't collecting the most powerful Skies to troll with everyone. It looks right up your alley to do so. Flashback. Verde. Reborn. What are you doing here? Reborn. You're a hard man to find, Verde. Verde. You know there is a reason why. Reborn. I want you to meet someone who might be able to break this infernal curse. Oh, and he's a wizard and borderline necromancer. Verde blinked. Suri. He had moved to prepare the table and the tranks just in case he needs to fight the imposter. Sweets but hate chocolate. Verde. Alright, what is this really about? Reborn. As I said, I know someone who knows a thing or two about how curses work, and he might be able to help us negate the curse, or at least remove the worst parts of it. Verde contemplated this. You know very well. I have been searching for the cure for this blasted curse for a long time. Do you really believe whoever this person is would know more? How can you be so sure? Grimoires about this so-called curse. Verde looks at him contemplating. He must be quite something if he got your trust of all things. Reborn didn't reply to that and just led him to Japan, where he was met with a very welcoming, powerful Sky, which made him question the same questions as Fawn. Reborn, that brat, was grinning at his dumbfounded expression. The young man, Sky, just shook his head at Reborn and welcomed him. The mini Sky, because he can't be anything else, took one look at the older one and proceeded to do the same. Was that flower and rainbows in the background mini Sky? Reborn, you troll. Flashback end. That was 2 months ago. It took them 3 days for him to settle in and to start the research. Harry had explained he was a magic user and proceeded to perform magic. Verde was skeptical about it and insisted why probably had all the flames, making it possible for him to do things. Harry patiently waited for him to put up the best flame detector machines he could create to check the density of his flames and detect which flames he had besides Sky. The readings he got on his machine said something else entirely. There were no flams being used. First he was shocked, then he became ecstatic. It was whole new discovery. For 2 whole weeks he questioned Harry on everything he knew about this magic, or new energy as Verde insisted it was. Harry obliged with his request and performed spells first, then charms, then potions and finally runes. While explaining how it worked and what were its purpose and how to create them. There was alchemy too, but he never got to learn, and as for necromancy, he was still learning in. Therefore not exactly safe to perform yet. To say Verde had a field day would be the biggest understatement. And then a month ago it happened, he had harmonized with the young sky. Harry was just as surprised as him, as he wasn't exactly looking for elements in the first place. Flashback. Harry, well, that was unexpected. How does harmonization even work? Skull told me we harmonized right away. Reborn said it took a few years before we harmonized. Fawn took a whole week and now a month. Verde. Indeed. And honestly no one can truly explain. It depends on the people and how well they get along with each other. Harry looked at Verde. You know I don't mind, right? Even though I wasn't looking for elements exactly, I won't turn you or anyone away. Verde smiled. Thank you. Harry, I'll be honest, the last time I harmonized it didn't end well for any of us. Reborn was the only one who kept us from going insane, literally. It was a nightmare. Harry, Skull told me about that. It wasn't fair to any of you. The secrets, the lies. The least she could have done was tell you what you were getting into, what you would lose in exchange to become the strongest in the world. Verde. Yes, we deserve to know that much at least. Even if we didn't know what would have happened. Sue Death. You didn't say you were in cahoots with them. Harry lifted his eyebrow. If I told you I knew Death, would you believe me or send me to the madhouse? Despite my history. Verde. Fair point. Verde was seriously annoyed by the stupidity of the people and so-called leaders in Harry's world. If he were there he would have made it his personal experiment to figure out where the stupidity comes from. Death had also dropped off a really old Atlantean book on Harry's lap, which the entire world. Verde half wondered if Checkerface knew what they were up to. But then shrugged his shoulders, it wasn't his problem. Flashback end. It was only a while back that he went through what happened. Ned and demanded the strongest alcohol Harry had so he could drink. Harry had just laughed and supplied him with something called fire whiskey after he got. Verde, I'll have to think of ways to replica. His abilities might start with potions. They follow a specific rule and recipe. And if I can mass produce them it would keep the attention off of my sky. He didn't want to imagine the kind of heck his fellow Archibaldino and the baby elements would start if anything happened to Harry. He saw the training Reborn, Skull and Fawn, whenever he visited, has been giving the boys and girls. Most of the boys were heavy hitters, although the mini Sky would be more suited for the silent killer type. The baby twins he couldn't say much, but the way they clung to Harry spoke a lot. The Kurikawa girl, May no. She be a scientist, but the little lightning was showing great aptitude and mind for law and would make a terrifying lawyer if given the right experiments himself. To be continued. Hope you all enjoyed this chapter. Yes, Reborn finally found and dragged Verde in so he could exchange. Chibi, Kyoko and Hannah are here. Yay, I love those girls. Opening parenthesis, closing parenthesis. Till next time my lovely readers. Potions, lessons and books. Hello everyone. I'm back with another inspiration for this chapter. I got this from the adorable DIY craft up there. Harry Potter and Katekyoshi Hitman Reborn doesn't belong to me. Talking. Thinking. Enjoy. Harry had been growing a few magical plants in his back garden since 2 years ago. Keeping the curious kids out was a chore in itself, especially with Suna's curiosity and Kioya's tendency to be obsessed with carnivores. He had taken to believing the plants were carnivores and wanted to tame them. Harry didn't know whether to be exasperated or laugh at the situation. Verde had taken to experimenting and trying to regrow the plants using flames. Some grew, some didn't. Then there were those that mutated because instead of magic they were being fed flames, especially the poisonous tentacula. Those would keep the flame users busy, and since it was Verde introducing them no one would even bother looking his way even by accident. Despite all the precaution taken, accidents happen and there was no such thing as over-careful. Flashback. Suna, Harry nee, why are these plants different? Harry, Suna, how are you here? You guys are here too. Skull, sorry Harry, but they wanted to spend more time with you. Harry sighed, he should have expected this to happen sooner. Then he smiled, kids, how would you like to know a little secret? Harry had proceeded to explain about magic to them. The different plants, its uses and the different branches of magic. He didn't tell them about his past, he didn't think they were ready for something like that yet. Suna, so it's like the pretty fire we can use. Harry smiled, a little bit like it. But magic is broader than that. The kids had taken the presence of magic with stride and promised not to tell anyone. There were people out there who would hurt them if they knew. Flashback ends. Little Kyoko and Takeshi had taken to potion making as a duck to water. While little Suna was completely enamored by runes, arithmancy and divination. It wasn't exactly the combination he would have thought of, but with his intuition, Suna bloomed really well in the subjects. He laughed thinking about how Hermione would have reacted to it. Hannah, the smart little lightning, mastered runes and arithmancy fastest of them all. She was however skeptical of divination. Ryohei was mediocre unfortunately, but then again he was more interested in outdoor activities. If he could fly he would have been a shoo-in for a chaser or beater. Kyoya was good but just like Ryohei more interested in the physical aspect and the magical plants and animals. Little Nagi, who Kyoko and Takeshi had found once locked outside the house by her horrid abusive mother, took to herbology quite well. Unfortunately these were the only magical education he could give to the kids. Spells and charm casting were out of the question. But Harry wondered if he could figure out a way to use flames to replicate some of the elemental spells that he had learned. Something to talk with the Archibaldino about. He had noticed how the runes seemed to create stronger shields when flames were added and how the potions were more potent or lethal depending on the type of flames used. Verdi's plan to sell the potions as medicine under his name in the guise of flame medicine worked well. Everyone was praising the lightning Archibaldino for the amazing creations. Especially the Skella Grow that allowed those who lost their limbs to regrow them. The recovery and retraining period was still the same, long and boring. But the fact they could walk without the use of crutches made them go through it without complaint. Flashback. Masaki, Potter-san. Welcome, my name is Masaki and I'll be your editor. Harry, please. It's nice to meet you. Masaki, in that case please call me Masaki. I read your story. It's really different from the genres we usually publish, but I can assure you it'll be a subject of interest to many people because of how different it is. Well, Masaki, your friend was right. Despite being different, it's really enjoyable. Masaki, hello there. I didn't know you had a child with you. Harry. Reborn. Correct. Chaozu. I'm reborn. Pleased to meet you. Masaki smiled. Pleasure to meet you too. I must confess this is my first time meeting a dwarf. I don't want to sound presumptuous, but is he the friend who insisted on you publishing your story? Quote, Harry, yes, Reborn and well, a few others. Masaki smiled, at least one of my writers have people to support him. Masaki, perhaps I'll meet them as well one day. Harry smiled, perhaps. They had concluded the meeting with lunch at a really good cafe in town. And Masaki became a close friend, well, as close as a civilian can be to them. Flashback end. Masaki speaking. Harry, hello Masaki. I just finished another book and I wanted to go through it before deciding to publish it. Masaki, Harry, I would love to. Your stories are unique and sell well. I'll be over in a few. Harry took a deep breath. This was it, he was finally ready to let go. He gathered up his Gryffindor courage and got ready to go to the meeting place they usually meet at. After 12 years of leaving his world behind, he was ready to let go of the past. He went downstairs and told Verde, who had more or less moved in with him, he was going out. Verde wished him good luck. They knew better than anyone how hard it can be to let go of something that made up a large part of your past. To be continued. I hope you all enjoyed this chapter. I love DIY crafts. Thank you for the inspiration. This chapter became a little serious, and yes people, despite living a quiet life, Harry still suffers from nightmares and PTSD. It'll be still quiet some time before he completely recovers. But he'll get there. Till next time my lovely readers. Black Cafe. Hello everyone. I'm back with another chapter. This time I got the inspiration while ordering snacks online. I saw that picture and I was like, why not? Harry Potter and Katekyoshi Hitman Reborn doesn't belong to me. Hollow Circle Epsilon Hollow Circle. That suite is available on Amazon. People. Talking. Thinking. Enjoy. Harry was busy king the final arrangements to prepare the cafe for the opening. It would be lunch hour soon. He had taught the cooks how to make the different sweets, cakes, pastries and cookies. Nana was a quick street Yudi and learned to make the food to perfection. The 4 servers and 1 cashier were ready to service the customers. The 2 assistant cooks Nana had acquired were cooking and baking in the kitchen. Nana, my food still doesn't taste as good as yours, Harry-kun. I followed your instructions and observed your cooking and yet yours are definitely better. Harry laughed. Practice, Nana-chan. Practice. I have been making these food from childhood. Harry grinned mischievously. When I wrote about them I thought why not produce them instead of just reading about it and wondering what they taste like. Nana giggled. They'll be quite the hit with your fans, I'll say, even with the adults. I personally adore the crystallized fruits. Momoka Mira walked over to them while they were conversing. He had become friends with Nana after Nana had saved her from getting into a little reluctant to accept 80 and wanted to lower it to 70, but Harry persuaded her to accept, stating the fact she would be doing most of the work. She had accepted after being persuaded by the combined persuasive power of Mitsuki and Yuki, who Harry had decided would make a better job of persuading the young mother. Momoka, Harry, the last of the decorations are done. Black Cafe is ready to open whenever you want it to. Harry, wonderful, let's open the cafe then. I believe our first customers are dying to enter. Harry laughed, pointing out the children. Their classmates, some teens and a few adults who had gathered outside waiting eagerly for the cafe to finally open. Harry also swore he saw some of his fans from the book signing last year. Takeshi had brought his 3-year-old baby sister with him. He couldn't see Kiyoya, but he was no doubt with his younger cousins somewhere quiet. The 6-year-old boy and 5-year-old girl were the opposite yet similar to Kiyoya in their love for small cute animals and aversion to crowds. Fawn had informed them, Kiyoya's little cousins were in line for succession. But since enemies were targeting them, he had requested they stay in Namimori while they cleaned house. Harry started the opening ceremony and announced the cafe finally open for all. The people entered the cafe and looked around. Before settling down to order from the menu, Harry noticed throughout the day the items from the storybooks were a favorite among the children. By late afternoon, Harry looked at the line outside. I wonder if I should open the upstairs as well and build a separate storage for the food. Harry looked at the 2 maids in witch dresses and waiters dressed like wizards, in the Chure, perhaps after finding more trustworthy and promising workers. A magical beast-themed cafe downstairs and a wizard-themed cafe upstairs. Harry snapped out of his musings when he felt Verdi's weight on his shoulder. It had become a source of comfort. He had taken a break from experimenting to join the others at the cafe. He was on a roll trying to make Skella grow, available by trying to grow the ingredients without magic. It was more or less successful, and unfortunately he still depended on his sky to produce most of the raw materials. While magic made it possible and convenient, there was still fear among them. Should someone figure out who produced the items, their sky would become no different from a highly coveted object to many familiages. They had brought Viper, Lol and Kernelo in on the group last year, and 9 months later, to no one's surprise, Kernelo had become Harry's reign. Reborn had requested Harry to tell the other Archibaldino, who weren't harmonized with him, his past. More relaxed he was when they were on his shoulder. Reborn took full advantage of it to commandeer at least one side for himself whenever he was here. Suna had pouted when he had noticed and realized he couldn't do the same. Verde, I swear that boy behaves a lot like a baby guardian would. I wonder if he's actually a sunny sky with a misty temperament. Verde still remembers the sparkles, flowers and rainbows he saw when he first saw the child. He was showing them earlier today as well, enjoying the treats surrounded by his guardians, the younger siblings and cousins at the table. He had rubbed his eyes when he first saw them, but the scene had persisted. Then he noticed his mother had the same habit minus the sparkles. It made him suspect Nana Sawada was a mist and the reason why Iamatsu didn't have a mist guardian. Verde narrowed his eyes thinking about Suna and his siblings. Looks the lion's gift is stronger than originally suspected. The younger twins also have strong intuition, which makes me wonder how much of his idiot act is real and how much fake. And if Nano is truly the main branch. They knew Suna suspected the story that he read wasn't really a story, especially after Suna quietly hugged Harry when he finished reading the book and didn't say anything or explain why. Harry suspected the gift told Suna this wasn't just a story he was reading. His intuition had become sharper the more he grew older, and the twins were following Suna on that path. Harry, are you thinking about the siblings too? I have been for a while ever since Skull told me about them and their gift. Verde, indeed, but it's not something to talk about here. Harry nodded smiling. No, it is not. We're here to enjoy the first day. Do you know when Reborn and the others will arrive? Verde smiled, massaging Harry's nape, a trick he learned from Fawn that relaxed Harry whenever he was worried. Don't worry, my Sky. It takes a few hours to reach Namimori from the international airport in Japan. Harry relaxed. All right. With Harry relaxed, they went back to enjoying the food and drinks. Harry would still get nightmares at night, although it wasn't as frequent as before, they still occurred. He was grateful he had friends and family with him to take care of him whenever it happened. He in turn helped them with their nightmares. He was healing slowly but surely. Writing WN about his past was definitely a good idea. Publishing the work wasn't such a bad idea either, especially since he didn't have to hide the corruption of the ministry he had to suffer from. It was similar to letting the world know the corruption that runs in the government, though this world would never realized how real it was. To be continued. Hope you all enjoyed this chapter. I certainly did. Who doesn't love sweets and cafe? Single quote. I even gave a sneak peek of the siblings and cousins other guardians will have. Oh, till next time. Changing Winds. Hello everyone. I'm back with another chapter. Oh, Harry Potter and Katekyoshi Hitman Reborn doesn't belong to me. The art doesn't belong to me either. Talking. Thinking. Please enjoy. A few days before the opening of Black Cafe, Lal was frustrated. A few months back they had caught a spy that was selling information on Vongola. 5 years ago the eldest heir Enrico had been killed. A year after that Massimo, and a few weeks later the youngest Federico had been found shot to death. She had just found out from the captured spy that Iamatsu was the next target, as he had the Vongola sky flames. What pissed her off was the fact the bloody witch thought she could take Basil as a hostage. Basil proved himself to be no pushover though. Her flames were in a tizzy since, if she hadn't taken the calming draft, she would have probably done something stupid by now. Things were getting intense in the Mafia and she worried for her Sky. The fourth child, Xanxus, threw a fit when he heard all his older siblings were dead. She had literally told Vip to take him to Namimori and let him calm down. But before that had happened, Xanxus had snapped and attacked Nano. It was a mess. Now Iamatsu was throwing a fit and a tantrum because Nano had decided to make his eldest child the Decimo. Lol, I'm not paid enough for this crap, I need a vacation last month. Viper avoided her in public, although it wasn't the case in privacy. They were both baffled by the strange events. From one side it looked like a simple open and shut case. But from the other side, it looked so simple and easy it made their skin crawl. There was something else, or rather someone else pulling the strings here. And they had no clue where to start. Flashback to a month ago. Lol, are we secure? Viper. Moo. Yes, no one can enter without alerting my flames. Lol, how are you holding up? Viper. I have honestly been better. Definitely better off than the rest. Lol, you saw the report. Viper. Yes, it's very strange. I don't know why, but I feel like we're being played. Lol. Any news from the informants? Viper. Quote. Lol got worried at the strange silence. Viper. Viper. My informants were found dead. Lol's eyes widened. How is that possible? You have the best spy network in the underworld. Flashback end. Viper hasn't talked to her since then. They had thrown themselves into rebuilding their network. Lol was honestly impressed and terrified by whoever it was that attacked them. They had left no evidence whatsoever behind to trace them, and it frustrated the two of them. Lol gave a sigh. She is so taking a fully paid relaxing vacation once this problem was solved. Lol. I kinda pity anyone who would try to hurt Suna though. Reborn would have their hide, and Harry is no pushover with his curses either. Not to forget the rest of the group. Meanwhile, Nano misunderstood his anger. I understand it's not exactly ideal as Suna doesn't have active flames and is a civilian. But right now we don't have a choice. Nano, I understand your concern, Iamatsu. But don't worry, that is what the Vongola bullets are for. Reborn, bullets. Nano, yes, they are specially designed to help activate any dormant flames in a human body. Reborn felt some dread rising. And where did you get this bullets from? If I didn't know better, I say you were ready for something like this. Iamatsu's eyes sharpened. I'm curious as well, Nano. I never heard of a new bullet being created. Nano, I'll admit it was what we found at the Estranio lab that was destroyed a few years back. We have run tests and experiments on the bullet since. Don't worry, it works well. Iamatsu gave a tight smile at his boss while Reborn looked at the bullet in contemplation. He was dumping the dang thing on Verde first. He would love tinkering it. Reborn, very well, Nano. If that's your decision. Reborn, Iamatsu, Reborn. Quote, Iamatsu gave a fake smile. You're going to take care of my tuna fish. I feel really jealous. And wait, I have to give you information on my cute tuna and. Quote, Reborn, Iamatsu. Reborn sighed, it'll be okay. Iamatsu swallowed a lump in his throat before nodding his head and going to his office to give Reborn the file. Reborn too. Okay, the offered file without saying anything and left, giving him a look that seems to say, don't do anything stupid, Baka Iamatsu. Reborn called a familiar number. Hello lol. I believe that your suspicions about a bigger play was right. Quote, lol, crap, how's my idiot Sky holding up? Is he alright? Where is he? Reborn, he locked himself up in his office, don't worry, he's safe. Lol, thank you Reborn. Reborn disconnected the call and decided to go through the information that Vongola had on one of his kids. It was much to his relief the general basics. He half wondered how his Sky would react to this turn of events. What really got his attention was the group of people who Suna was with was heavily edited. It was a picture from far away, but Harry was in the picture. Even if they didn't know about his Sky. Danger by association. He knows his Sky won't turn his back on this, it's not his nature, and will try to help, and that worried him. Reborn, he won't be happy even if he'll understand. It's a good stroke of luck I got a year to prepare. Reborn left to head to Namimori. The training doesn't start till his baby Sky turns 14, which is next year. He might as well enjoy the time with his Sky. He had promised to be there at the opening of the cafe, so he better get a move on. To be continued. Hope you all enjoyed this chapter. Till next time, my lovely readers. Dreams. Hello everyone. I'm back with another chapter inspired by another fanart. Fanart is not mine. Respect to the artist for inspiring me to write these stories. Opening parenthesis, closing parenthesis. Talking. Thoughts. Enjoy. Harry, it's been 3 months since the cafe opened, and it's hard to believe how popular it became. The kids certainly love going there a lot. Who knew Namimori had such a huge sweet tooth? Remus would have loved it here. Harry, Suna and Kiyoya are such a cute couple together. Hana seems to be drawn to Ryohei, and I suppose they balance each other well. Takeshi enjoys spending his time with his younger sibling, Amy, a lot, and doesn't seem much interested in dating in general, the same for his adopted sister Chrome. She has come a long way from being a quiet, shy, timid and tiny girl to a confident and healthy teen. Haru and Kyoko seems to have taken quite a liking to using Chrome as a model for her dresses. I wonder how that will play out, or maybe I'm reading too much into their relationship. They can always end up with other boys and girls. They are just 13 anyway. Harry smiled as he watched the first rays of the sun illuminate the kitchen as he set Padfoot's breakfast in front of him. He almost laughed, remembering how Haru had pestered her parents for a sibling, and her parents had announced last month they would be having a child soon. Haru had been smiling all day ever since her sibling wasn't here yet, and she was already smitten and wrapped around their finger. Harry smiled. It is cute now that I think about it. Suna's twin siblings Sora and Kayet are such mischievous angels. Fred and George would have loved them, especially the mischief they got into. They get along really well with Kiyoya's little cousins Hiroshi-kun and Hinata-chan. I wonder when Verde will return from his mission. I know he went to gather the items to break the curse, but Harry's thought was cancelled by a familiar weight on his shoulders. He looked back to see Reborn watching him. Reborn, everything all right, Harry? Harry smiled. Just thinking about the last few months, Reborn. About the cafe, the kids and the curse. Harry frowned. We're so close yet so far from breaking it. We know the how but we don't know the when. It's frustrating. Quote. Reborn smiled. You shouldn't fret, mi amore. With time and patience this curse will be broken and we'll be back to our previous bodies again. This was 1-0. The things that happened the last 2 years. Reborn and the others had started to use a term of loving endearment to address him. First he was curious and wanted to ask why, but then shrugged and just went with it. It wasn't like it bothered him, rather it felt nice to know he mattered more than just a sky. Harry moved to the table, sitting down for breakfast. Harry, I had a strange dream last night. It wasn't bad or good. Just confusing and raised more questions than answers. Reborn. Oh. Harry nodded. I think it was the Archibaldino, before the curse hit. Them, that I saw in my dreams. Reborn frowned. Dreams. You have been having the same dream repeatedly. Is this normal? Harry. Well, for wizards yes, sort of. But even then it rarely happens. And Suna is there too. That is what makes me worried. I don't want to involve him in any danger. I couldn't see your faces but I could tell it was you and the rest of the team. Reborn. I see. Well then it is highly possible your dreams are either trying to tell us the next clue, warning us danger is coming, a glimpse of the future where everything worked out, is showing you what your heart desires. Harry, knowing my luck it's probably and undoubtedly too. And why would Suna be involved? He doesn't even know about the Mafia yet, none of the kids do. They just believe that the flames are magic. Reborn. They are going to be involved with the Mafia soon though. So it's possible that in the future. Quote. Harry's shoulders slumped knowing what Reborn was talking about. Suna is involved too deeply after he turns 14. I want to keep them safe. Reborn. I don't want them to end up like I did. Reborn had told him about Vongola's plans for Suna. It had angered Harry a lot. It was similar to how his previous life had been. Planned by others. No choice of his own. Reborn gave a peck on Harry's cheeks before massaging his nape. And we will mi amore. We will. I'm the strongest hitman. Verde is the smartest scientist. Fawn is the strongest martial artist. Skull the greatest stuntman. Nello the strongest soldier, and not to forget Viper and Lol, the most cunning information broker and strongest trainer respectively. Then there is you, the strongest magic user in the world with literal death to protect you. Trust me mi amore. We will keep them safe together. Harry smiled at the conviction and leaned his forehead until it touched Reborn's. They stayed that way for a while before separating and starting their breakfast. He was just happy he wasn't alone in dealing with all this. Just when they were about to finish, they heard the doorbell ring. Harry smiled, getting up. Looks like our kids are here. Reborn smirked. Yes, they are. Harry opened the door and allowed the kids in. They had come over with the IR school books and assignments as always. It helped that Reborn, Harry and sometimes Fawn was really good at tutoring them and helped them to understand the problems better than their class teacher could. Harry observed Suna a bit and Suna looked back at him curiously. Harry just smiled and shook his head, signaling he would talk with him later, to which Suna just nodded before focusing on the homework in front of him. He had become very good in reading Harry's cues, having a strong intuition probably helped. Ryohei got Harry's attention asking his help with the English assignment, which in turn prompted Chrome and Haru to request his help as well. The rest of the group worked on their maths homework, occasionally asking Reborn for help when they came across a problem that was confusing. Yoya took a nap as he had finished his work while doing the paperwork for the disciplinary committee. The younger ones who just started kindergarten played quietly with their toys, waiting for their siblings and cousin to finish so they could play and spend the weekend together. To be continued. Hope you all enjoyed this story. And I hope it's not confusing you all. The poll will end soon. This book, as well. Then book 2 will begin. Epsilon. See you next time, my dear readers. Death's family of sorts. Hello everyone. I'm back with another chapter inspired by another fanart. Art is made by Robert Rand, Skullov on Instagram. Opening parenthesis single quote closing parenthesis. Mine. I only use them when I'm inspired to write a chapter or a story. Talking. Thinking. Enjoy. Death has been around since the beginning of time. They were born together. Life, time and death. Some would say they are triplets while others would argue they were the same being. The siblings always laughed at the theories, tales and stories. They loved the idea of being one person though, as no one understood them better than themselves. There were the younger siblings, of course, the ever-mischievous twins Fate and Karma, the second. Triplets, magic, love and wisdom, and so many other beings coming after them. Gods and goddesses born and passed on in the mortal realm. Death, even if they were gods are still a mortal concept, and like anything mortal they return to death. Life. Death, there you are. Death nodded. Life, is there something wrong? Are siblings creating mischief again? Life shook their head. No, nothing I can't handle. I just wanted to know how our child Harry is doing. And how are you doing? Death gave a content rumble. Harry is settling in fine in his new world. You need not worry. He was having troubles first, but he's living a happy and healthy life. Well, as healthy as a survivor can get. War always leaves a mark. Life. I'm glad. You are happy too. I haven't felt you this happy since the Peverell brothers left. If Death could grin he would. He remembered the three brothers and, unlike the silly childish story, knew the full details. After all, death may be the end of all, but they were never impatient in fact. The longer people lived, the less work for them. Though that wasn't possible with all the worlds and dimensions across the universe. Death wasn't choosy either, but they were possessive. They had given the gifts to the three brothers, thereby marking them as theirs. Antioch Peverell was a warrior through and through, but that didn't make him immune to diseases. Death only made sure he didn't have to suffer any pain, and took him while he was still in his late 20s. Antioch was a very loyal and bright child, the first one they had claimed as their own. Death had offered him a second life, he had wished to be reborn in a world where he would be with his comrades again. He wasn't much older than Harry. Death granted their wish and let him be reborn in a world filled with wonderful creatures where bonds were important. Cadmus Peverell was a necromancer, and unlike the silly little tale, he never married. He used his abilities to help families say final farewell to each other. The MIDDLE brother was definitely his favorite, as it made his work easier in a way. It had angered them when the second was betrayed by his own student, who later spread the tale of his teacher being a lovesick fool. Karma, his favorite among the younger twins, had gleefully made the arrogant child's life a living heck before Cadmus himself had calmed Death by offering to stay with him and help him. Death had given him a chance at second life, as they felt his first was unjustly taken. Cadmus had accepted the second chance and was reborn into a world filled with people who were marked by death and yet ignorant to death. Time, death, life. You two seem nostalgic. Life, just reminiscing. Death hummed in agreement. I must say, life, time. I think I understand why you enjoy marking a few of the mortals as your own. Despite most of the mortals being selfish and greedy and destructive, there are a few among them that are true gems. Time hummed. You're talking about Harry, aren't you? Death, yes. You know, I offered to him to become my master. He refused, and asked me to be his friend. Life and Time looked flabbergasted. Truly, you what? He what? Life laughed. You adore him. Actually, you adore him the most. Death shrugged, feeling smug. They weren't the type to gloat, unlike War, that brat always causing him endless amounts of work, or Chaos, who is another brat that just won't shut up about war. Their youngest triplet, Peace, was the only tolerable one in the group. But Death was probably being biased here. Time, will you be going to see Harry soon? And did he like the present I sent last time? Death nodded. Yes, I will, once this batch of souls finish their passing. And yes, he adored the gift you sent him. There is also the bonus that it is helping his friends so. Time, that's good. I must confess I wanted to mess with Fate a bit after the brat took one of my tomes and gave it to the Bovino, was it? In that world. Death chuckled. You know our younger siblings. They love their mischief. Fate is going to throw a fit when they realize the changes that have occurred. Life waved it off. They'll sulk and complain about the extra paperwork and then get right back to creating trouble. Don't worry about it. Hope you all enjoyed this chapter. Intersection. Ah ha 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 ha. I was just going through some arts in Pinterest and bam, instant inspiration. Opening parenthesis, closing parenthesis. Till next time, my lovely readers. Close yet far. Hello everyone. I'm back with another chapter inspired by another fan art. The fan art is not mine. Credit goes to the artist. Talking, thinking, enjoy. Cursed in English, Latin and French when he recognized what it was. It was pretty impressive to hear him curse and make all of us blush. While it doesn't mind control us, it certainly controlled our flame. And physical body, and that is just as bad as mind control. The only positive is that the person who could control them is the sky, not the one who cursed them. Verde sighed. He didn't know what he would have done if Checkerface controlled them. According to the totem, the curse was originally created as punishment for troublemakers and criminals. They would be bound to the entire earth, using 3 flame items, and their flames would be used as fuel to feed the planet and keep it healthy. The sky archipelago or the harmony doesn't survive long because of the strain on the flames, which I phoned from them at a fast rate, not only by the planet but also by the other elements. And the other elements slowly follow, the storm followed by rain and lightning followed by the cloud, then the mist, and finally the sun. But as time went by, the original knowledge was forgotten and it became a repetitive process where people would be chosen to sacrifice themselves for the greater good of the future. Harry wanted to punch Checkerface's face so bad, then use the nastiest pranks on that idiotic man. He hadn't calmed down for a whole week, and it took a joint effort of spars and distractions for him to finally cool off. One thing, however, was surely confirmed in the minds of the archipelago after that week: their sky was no weak civilian, he was a war veteran. It had pleased Reborn, Fawn and Colonel greatly to spar with Harry. Without holding back. Flashback. Reborn, you have been holding back on us, mi amore. Verde, your magic is impressive in battle, but your hand-to-hand combat is also not a joke. I must agree with Reborn here. Harry love, you have been holding back. Harry smirked. Come now. I didn't survive a war just being a goody two shoes, you know. I have fought, I have lead, I have killed, I have conquered. I have survived. I'm no innocent. My hands have the blood of my enemies on them. Fawn looked between Harry and Skull in contemplation. Indeed. And I must say at the fact you still have held on to your sanity and not snapped on us goes to show your strength, not just in physical battle but also in mind. Also, you have been practicing together, weren't you? Skull grins. Yup. Every time baking or writing didn't help, Skull-sama would drag Harry to have a spar and tire him out so he could sleep. There was the added bonus of Harry relearning his moves. Colonel, what? Why didn't you invite me, Cora? I would have joined you too. Harry laughed. Come now, Nello, you are here now, right? I'll make sure to invite you to spar whenever you are here. Reborn. Speaking of spar, shall we get back to ours, mi amore? Harry got up from where he was sitting with a dark gleam in his eyes. Of course, Ren. Author here. I'm not going to go into details of the spar. It would take forever to finish. And just like that, they got back to having another spar. Once Verde had made sure Harry had cooled down, he had announced his plan to look for the flame-based items that were mentioned in the ancient totem. Harry, should you be going on your own for this? What if Checkerface notices? Verde, don't worry, Harry. I have always had the habit of searching out new things and projects. He won't notice anything different even if he looked into us. Besides, I have a plan. Harry, all right, just make sure to stay in contact with one of us. I don't want to hunt you down, magic flames and guns blazing just because I got worried. Verde agreed to always stay in contact with at least one of them, knowing quite well Harry would do as he said. Flashback end. Now here Verde was waiting for his teammates, friends, family, to join him. He found out some interesting things about the items and he dreaded to think how the rest of the archipelago would react to it, especially Reborn and Lol. Verde rubbed his head just thinking about their reactions to this. He wasn't even going to think about how his sky would react when he learns about the second item. It wouldn't be ready, considering this would not only affect them but also those around them. To make it worse, only 2 of the items were known and existing. The third item, who knows where it was? He looked high and low for it but nothing. Not a peep. Like it disappeared from existence the moment Atlantis disappeared. Things were going to get truly chaotic around here. And to be continued. Hope you all enjoyed this chapter. Opening parenthesis, closing parenthesis. Even without the spar, this chapter became really long. I had to break it into 2 parts. I'll post the other one soon. Oh, also this book is almost over. Part 2 will come soon. Till next time, my lovely readers. The Curse. Hello everyone. I'm back with another chapter inspired by another art. Single quote, talking, thinking, enjoy. Verde had waited for his Sky and fellow Archibaldino to join him in the meeting room. They were about to start when they heard a knock on the door. Harry was a bit startled at that. He had not expected anyone to be here. They had sent the kids home, so with sing curiosity they watched as Harry answered the door. Harry, Sue, Chan, what are you doing here? Is something wrong? Reborn was silent as he watched his future student by the door, fidgeting with the necklace Harry had given him years ago. He seemed to be reluctant at first, but then squared his shoulders and looked up. Reborn could admit being a little proud of the fact that this child would soon officially be his student. He swears he'll be the best student he has taught. Suna, I felt like I had to be here. Harry Nee. I know you have been tensed lately and worried about something, I don't know what is going on exactly, but I want to help. And well, I don't know what I can do, but I know I can help. So please, Harry Nee, let us help. Harry blinked. I'm going to make a wild guess here. Intuition. Suna nodded vigorously, making Harry chuckle. Since Harry's back was to them, he didn't see the worried and contemplating look that passed Verde's face. Reborn, however, noticed it and made eye contact with Verde, asking for answers. Verde sighed and signaled it would be covered up in the meeting. Just as Harry led Suna in, Suna's guardians also came in with them. Sue Na sat next to Harry and Kiyoya next to Suna, while Chrome made herself comfortable near Lal Merch and Viper. Takeshi took the seat next to Skull and Ryohei sat next to Kernelo. Harry was amused. You planned this, didn't you? Suna ducked his head down in embarrassment while Takeshi answers, we were all worried. Harry Nee. You guys were so tense the last few weeks. Fawn sighed. We apologize for making you worry, children. We just found out something that really tested our patience. Chrome, is this about the curse? Everyone looked at her, while she ducked her head shyly. Su-chan told us about it last week when we asked him. He was really worried. Ryohei, my extreme Autodo certainly did, and we all want to help you the way you helped us. Kiyoya, carnivore tamer, you just need to say the word and we'll do it. Harry and the others chuckled. Why, thank you, Kyo-kun. That's very generous of you. Now shall we start the meeting? Verde, the stage is yours. Verde nodded. Now as you all know that the Archibaldino, or the 7 of us, were cursed to become what you are seeing right now. We have been trying and trying since the day we were cursed to find a way to break it. None of us had any idea or clue how to go about it till we received the totem that had details about it. Verde looked at the kids in feigned exasperation as they turned pink. What you kids don't know, however, were the contents of this curse. The curse is binding and ties you to the planet, which siphons off your flames bit by bit, eventually killing you in the process. There are 3 objects, ancient flame BASED ones, that were used in creating this curse, and we know where 2 of them are currently. Verde paused a bit, looking at the reaction of the children. Suna obviously searched for Reborn first to check if he was okay. Reborn gave a smirk, before getting off his seat and settling on Suna's shoulder to comfort him. Kiyoya, despite being annoyed by his family, still searched for Fawn, to check that he's okay. The other 3 children looked pale at the implications of the curse. Verde grimaced, thinking about what their reactions would be to the rest of the information. Verde cleared his throat. Now the 3 items I talked about, you must first understand that they are items of great power used to curse and punish people. Therefore these items, while powerful to use, they come with a price. First item is the Archibaldino pacifiers. Verde cringed at the pin-drop silence in the room, but he trudged on. This is one single item broken into 7 pieces, during our time 8 pieces that hung around our neck. Their function is to slowly but surely absorb our flames till we are either empty shells or we lose our sanity and kill ourselves. One thing I have noticed to balance the output is to have a strong sky to support you flame-wise. So basically we are not dead yet because of two reasons: we are stronger than we previously had assumed in our respective skies. Are powerful. However there is a high chance they might be chosen as the next Sky Archipelago and be killed. Verde had taken a breath to let the information sink in. He hadn't dared to look at Harry earlier, but now he did look. And Harry is furious again. Verde wished he knew where Checkerface was just so he could point Harry in that direction and watch the chaos. I'm spending too much time with Reborn. Verde couldn't help but sweat drop. Suna was holding Reborn. Close to him as Reborn pat the fluffy brunette hair in comfort. Kiyoya had moved closer to Fawn. Takeshi and Ryohei were looking at the Archipelago, worried they disappear, and Chrome was trying hard not to cry. And here comes the other part. They are not going to like, Verde thought. Skull, Kernelo, Fawn, Lol and Viper on the other hand looked close to destroying something. Verde understood, as he himself had felt that way when he learned the last tidbit. Verde cleared his throat. Now for the second item. It is just as dangerous as the first one. It has also been broken into 7 pieces and has 7 holders. I however couldn't simply just take it because of complications and clash of interest. The second item, unlike the first, doesn't steal your flames. It does however target your blood like a blood sacrifice, and it has already received and taken its sacrifice for now. But these are cursed items and are therefore very finicky and untrustworthy. Harry took a deep breath to calm himself. Blood sacrifice, Verde. I'm not going to like this answer, but how many? Verde's answer shocked them. 3 skies and their guardians. Believe me, I was shocked as well. They all died. Brutally murdered. Just when you think you know the worst curse that could hit you, another gets thrown in. Lol Merch cursed. She had a bad feeling about the second item. In fact, she dreaded knowing the rest of the information. Reborn felt dread and tensed, making Suna tense. Verde, which familija? Verde looked at Reborn, wishing to be elsewhere than here. Reborn looked ready to kill. He answered. It is the Vongola familija. To be continued. Hope you all enjoyed this chapter. Opening parenthesis, closing parenthesis. It became long. Till next time, my lovely readers. Vongola's curse. Hello everyone. I'm back with another chapter for you all. Talking. Thinking. Enjoy. The meeting room was engulfed in silence, a very angry silence. Verde honestly didn't expect any other reaction from them. This wasn't some small thing or secret that they discovered, that Checkerface hid from them, again. He half wondered if Luce knew, then shook his head. Probably not. Despite her gifts to see the future, she had no way to see the past. She was a woman who instinctively focused on the future rather than the past as well. He should have done some experiments back then on this, personal feelings aside. Suna, who was holding on to Reborn, broke the silence. Verde-sensei, I understood the Archipelago curse, but I don't understand the second curse you are talking about. The Vongola's curse was it. Verde had almost forgot about the kids. He gave a sigh and decided to explain it to them while his partners calmed down. This was going to take a while. Verde. Alright kiddos, listen carefully to what I say. You all already know about the Archipelago curse and the fact we have been trying to break it, right? The teens gave a nod before Takeshi asked, ah ha 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 ha. Verde-san, I am honestly a little confused about some things when it comes to the Archipelago curse. Were you cursed by Checkerface or were you cursed by the items? If it was the items, then where does Checkerface come in? Harry, at this point, Verde noticed, had gone to the pantry in the meeting room and was preparing tea, coffee and some drinks for them. Skull had joined him at the pantry as well. It looks like stress cooking has become a common outlet for the two. He looked back at Takeshi. Verde. From all my observations and research, I can confidently tell you it was the old flame-based items that contained the curse. Checkerface, you could say, delivered the curse to us in a gift package. So we all were, bluntly speaking, cursed by both. The items that carried the curse and Checkerface that brought the items to us under the promise of grandeur. Chrome frowned, and he never bothered to explain to any of you what would happen to you once you accept the gifts. That was a really low blow. Lol ants. Red, gesturing to themselves and calming down a little before continuing, turning to Verde. I never thought I would say this, but I'm really happy Iamatsu wasn't chosen as Decimo, simultaneously really annoyed one of these things were so close to him. Viper hissed in anger. it would have targeted my sky if he truly was Nono's son. In a way, Xanxus getting iced by Ninth was both a curse and a blessing. He won't be happy when he wakes up and learns his older brothers were nothing but blood sacrifices. I'm not hiding this info from him. Reborn knew what lol meant, but it still pissed him off a little. He would prank her later. Some of Harry's prank materials are downright sadistic. Reborn turned to Suna, who looked at him with visible confusion, wondering what it had to do with him. Reborn. Verde, I think you should explain the rest of the curses first. It affects my baby Sky's future after all. Suna held Reborn. Papa Born, what do you mean? Reborn patted his head. Don't worry, Bambino, you will understand soon. Verde, if you will please. Verde nodded, taking the green tea Harry handed to him. Fawn and Kiyoya, espresso for Reborn, alcohol for Lol and Kernelo, Viper and Skull had black tea, while the rest of the teens and Harry got butterbeer. It always amused Verde a bit how Harry's drinks seemed to help them calm down. Verde, well, now that you understand the Archibaldino curse, let's move on to the next curse that the Archibaldino curse is tied to. As it turns out, it is the second item of the Trinet set, with these pacifiers being the first. The family that holds these cursed items is Vongola Familija. This second curse is subtle compared to the first one. It targets your blood and uses it as payment for having power in return. Verde drank the tea before continuing. The second items are the family rings that prove you are a leader of Vongola. It doesn't need flames, as the first one already provides it. What it goes for is the blood, as most flame elements rue n through and use blood as a natural conduit. And these items are also just as cruel in how they achieve their targets. Verde, this century it has already claimed 3 Vongola skies as its worthy sacrifice. Nono's sons and their guardians, as you all know, died really cruel and brutal deaths. The eldest, Enrico Vongola, was shot to death. The middle son, Massimo Vongola, was drowned, while the youngest Federico Vongola was burned till he was nothing but bones. Verde informed them while showing the pictures, making the teens cringe at the sight. Now, what most people don't know is prior to their deaths, the 3 of them had lost many blood that conveniently went missing. Where it went, I think we all can guess. Ryohei frowned. That is extreme cruel way to be killed. They were killed on different years but at the same dates and months. Is there a reason? Verde, I personally think it's to keep the flow of the blood steady. Honestly though, I'm a man of science, I only understand the logic behind this to a point. Even then I'm not convinced it's completely correct. Harry, they were killed on the Red Moon. Kiyoya looked at Harry. Carnivore tamer. Is that important? Red Moon. Harry hummed, remembering the teachings Death had given him. In practices of the old, Red Moon was when blood magic is at its highest strength. It is believed full moon is for light magic, new moon for wild powerful magic. Red Moon for blood, and the dark moon is for dark magic. And for 3 consecutive new moons to occur on the same date on different years. It would provide many power to receiver, and as well as control over said power. 3 is a powerful number in sacrifices. It represents power, control and wisdom. While most would make do with 3 sacrifices, a red moon that occurs 3 times on the same date in different years would provide more than enough juice to last a century. It is also the reason Red Moon is called Blood Moon. Suna perked up. But that means we would nt have to worry about it killing others anymore, right? It's already taken what it needs. Fawn frowned. This is a truly troubling though, isn't it? Do you think that's why Vongola Primo left the Familija in the first place? His intuition is powerful, is it not? He must have felt something wrong. Skull, I think you may be right, Fawn, and even Iamatsu. Sorry Suna, I know you are angry with him, but it needs to be said. Suna pouted but nodded, letting Skull continue. Iamatsu was also adamant in keeping Suna and Nana away, right? For all his stupidity and annoyance, his intuition is stronger than Nono's, isn't it? Verde eyes twinkled. Something for me to research later then. Now Suna, you must be wondering what lol meant earlier, right? And what it has to do with you. Well, I will just pull off the band-aid and say it. You are the next Decimo. Suna, I'm the what? Reborn, the next leader of Vongola Bambino. Also I will be the one tutoring you for that position. Ryohei gaped. Extreme shock. Chrome's eyes widened. That wasn't what I expected. Takeshi's smile became sharp. Ah ha 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 ha. What? Didn't you just say those things kill people? Kiyoya slammed the tables. I won't lose my mate to a herbivorous object. Verde sighed once again and wondered if he was getting old with the number of times he has sighed now. He didn't even start explaining the third part, which will soon enough garner many frustration from everyone present. I'm taking a long vacation after this. To be continued. Hope you all enjoyed this chapter and I hope it's not so confusing. I tried to keep the explanations as simple as possible so it doesn't confuse you all. Single quote. Till next time my lovely readers. The missing piece. Hello everyone. I finally completed this chapter. I was a little busy with my other stories so it took some time. Harry Potter and Katekyoshi Hitman Reborn doesn't belong to me. The art is from pbs.twimg.com. Talking. Thinking. Enjoy. The meeting room was in chaos and shouting, lots of shouting, and Harry, well, he couldn't blame the kids for it either. He wanted to react the same way after figuring out the connection, if he were being honest. This wasn't what he wanted to happen to one of his kids. He looked at Verde, who looked on with a blank face at the commotion. The children had turned to Suna after shouting their anger at the absurd news. Yohei looked at Suna and spoke seriously without shouting, "This is extremely not cool, I won't accept it." Chrome frowned in anger as well. "Yes, Suna, please tell us, you will reject the offer. It is madness to accept this." Takeshi's voice was strained. "Ah ha 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 ha. Yeah, Suna, I don't want to see you get cursed. And who knows whether this Vongolo knew about the curse or not and are just sweeping things under the rug." Kiyoya was simmering with anger. "Mate, you don't need to accept the decision of a foolish familija who couldn't even watch over their own cubs. We can live a life without them as well." Suna, who had kept quiet the whole time, looked conflicted. On one side his intuition was shouting at him the second curse was dangerous and lethal and he won't live till 30. On the other side his intuition again was telling him he could use this to help his Papa Born be free again. For once in his life he was truly befuddled by a situation. Suna turned to Harry, who looked at him calmly, showing his support. "I would like to know about the third piece before making any decision. I feel like this is not as simple as it looks." He turned to Reborn, who looked at him with approval at his calm temperament and choice. Suna couldn't help but feel proud despite the situation. Suna turned to the other teens and his boyfriend. "I know it's not exactly a good idea to accept the position. But I feel I won't have a choice after a few years. It will be best if we gather all the information we can and make a decision now before the choice is made without our consent. Following partners ceased to exist. Well, the Archibaldino could always claim that they hurt their children." Kiyoya, HN. "Very well, mate. However, I won't allow you to wear the blasted item. Heirloom or not, that herbivorous object is not coming anywhere near you." Takeshi, Ryohei and Chrome nodded in agreement. Even if they couldn't avoid joining, they could still avoid certain objects. It wasn't the best solution, but they will take what they can get. Fawn and Skull in the meanwhile couldn't help but silently root for Kiyoya and Suna. They were so cute together. Mukuro took over Chrome. "Ku fu 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 fu. I can feel my dear Chrome's anger from all the way in Italy. I must say, my lovely Sky, it's true you can't escape from the Mafia, especially Vongola, but it doesn't mean you can't get back at them." Harry smiled at Mukuro. The kid had come a long way. "I have to agree with both of your decisions, Suna and Kiyoya. We do need more information, and yes, we can't avoid the situation. But we also don't need to follow everything to the letter either. If I can get a look at how the rings look, perhaps I can transfigure some metal to mimic them." Mukuro perked up. "Transfigure?" Verde perked up. "I can help you with that. Lol, I can get a copy of the model for the rings. Viper, if we get the original rings, I can fuse some of your wards with my mist to lock them away. Provided you help me master the wards in return." Harry, "Of course, Viper. It's a deal. It'll be wonderful to have another ward master around. Right, you still have ways to go, Mukuro. It's one of the other things I can do. Just like the wards that are protecting you and your friends." Mukuro nodded. "I look forward to learning then. I must go now, however the others are worried." Colonel grinned. "It's good to have a plan, Cora. Lol, if you need help getting those models of the ring, you know where to find me." Lol gave a sadistic smile. "It shouldn't be hard, but considering how things have been back at the headquarters, I just might call you to make a distraction." Reborn smirked. Good decision, Suna. A boss always collects every information available before making a choice. Suna blushed and ducked his head at the praise. A praise from Reborn was really rare. It was always good, or not bad. A true praise was 1 in a million. He couldn't help but smile a little before he turned his attention to Verde. Verde, all right, has everyone calmed down now? Kids. Takeshi. Ah ha 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 ha. Not exactly, I'm not. Chrome. I'm okay, upset, but okay. Ryohei looked at Chrome, extremely not happy. We can't key this from the other girls, but I'm not sure how we're going to explain to them. Chrome gave a sigh. We can inform them together, though they'll not be happy to learn. Kyoya grunted. HN. Suna, please carry on, Verde-sensei. Verde, all right then. The last piece of the puzzle, I'm afraid to say, I don't know where it is located. There was stunned silence at that declaration, but Verde carried on. However, there is a written manuscript on what the last curse is in the tome. We didn't recognize it first because we were only looking to break our curse and didn't even realize how vast the curse originally was. Harry, I'm almost afraid to ask, but what exactly is the curse? Verde took out the tome and turned to the last page, pointing at the small inscription at the far right corner, as you all can see here. The final curse is insanity due to knowledge of future, present and past, as well as the destruction of the world. Suna stared blankly at the tome while Harry pursed his lips. He had half wondered what it meant, but back then he was focused on breaking the Archibaldino curse only. Reborn's eyes were shadowed as well as the rest of the Archibaldino. They wouldn't wish that on anyone. Harry, I should have known it wouldn't be so simple and easy. Skull, nay, Verde, you said you don't know where it is. How? No one literally knows about these items except us and most probably Checkerface. Oh. You don't think that maybe? Quote, Reborn, it's possible, Lackey, it's possible. Fawn, any clue on what it looks like, Verde? Verde frowned. It's most probably like the first 2 items. Broken, and I don't think Checkerface has them. He never showed any interest in the Vongola after all. I pity whoever it is that has the last item. Harry, so we search for the final item then. Without it we can't break the curse. Verde, yes, it seems that way. I'm very curious as to what the final item would be. We have pacifiers and rings, so the last one, wonder what absurd form it'll take. Lal raised her hand and started to tick her fingers, so to conclude. We have 3 cursed items. We know each curse worse than the previous one. We know where 2 are, but the last one is missing. We will have to train you kids up if you are to survive the Mafia and not become a victim of the curse. We have to find the last piece. No pressure. Everyone snorted at the crude summarization of the events. Verde gave a huff before announcing that was all and ended the meeting. He was going on a vacation and maybe he'll take Harry with him. They could spend some quality time together away from the madness that will no doubt take place soon in a few months. To be continued. Hope you all enjoyed this chapter. It took a while, but canon fact, they didn't know about the 3rd piece of Trinetset till they went to the future. Till next time, my lovely readers. Suna's resolve. Hello everyone. I'm back with another chapter for you all. Follow them for more arts like this one. Talking. Thinking. Enjoy. Suna was quiet as the meeting ended. He wasn't sure what he was expecting, but it certainly wasn't for one of the pieces to be missing. He half wondered why his intuition had hissed when it was announced as missing. His intuition had shouted danger when Verde had informed them and hissed they would die if they didn't find it soon. He wasn't sure what to make of it. Lal grunted. Well, as enlightening and informative this had been, I need to head back to CEDEF now. Iamatsu's been a headache and a half the last few weeks. Not like I can blame the man. She mumbled the last part to herself. She had also become quite fond of Suna during the time she spent with the baby Sky. She understood her Sky's need for protectiveness. Viper sighed. Moo, I need to return to my team as well. I can only hope they haven't created another large bill while I was gone. Harry, would you like me to make international portkeys for you? They can take you to the mansion directly. Viper, what do you want in return? Harry tapped his chin. I would like some ingredients that grow in Italy to make Italian dishes for the cafe. And some ingredients to make a few potions like nutrient potion. I will get the list I made. While Harry got the list, the rest of the people dispersed. Suna's friends moved near him. They were worried he hadn't said anything yet. Reborn had moved to talk to Lol and Viper about a few things. Takeshi, Suna, you okay? You have been quiet since the meeting ended. Suna shook his head, I'm not sure. Ryohei, talk to us little brother, we're here for you to the extreme. Chrome, yeah, Mukuro is worried too Su-chan. He never worries about anything but himself. Kyoya, HN Koibito, talk to us. Suna gave a sigh, my intuition is telling me two things right now. To stay away from the rings and whoever has the third piece because they will kill me. We can use this to solve our problem. I'm a little torn on what to do. Takeshi tensed then frowned, that's new. Usually your intuition is firm on the decisions but today it's because of the curse isn't it? Ryohei had stiffened at the kill part. Hey, do you think the Vongola would notice if we destroy the rings extremely quietly and replace them? Kyoya scowled, HN. A foolhardy plan. But we keep it. No one is touching you my mate. The only way they'll do it is over my dead body. Suna turned to the clock. We need to go home soon though. It's late. Ryohei shouted, extremely late. I have to go soon or Ka-chan and Tu-chan will be worried. Takeshi, let's go together Chrome. Chrome, sure Keshi ni. Kyoya turned to Suna, I'll escort you home, Koi. Suna smiled before going to Harry who had just returned holding the list he intended to give to Viper. He just smiled at Suna before ruffling his hair and letting them go. Harry looked at them sadly as they left. He knew that today changed many things for them. He was a bit worried about them but trusted them to be okay. Harry turned to Viper. This is the list for the potion ingredients and this one for the rest. I'll be honest, I'm not sure half the potion items will be available or not. Viper, Moo, don't worry if it's not available I'll just mark it unavailable. Perhaps Verde can find a replacement for it. Verde, it'll be a challenge, but I don't see why not. Harry handed over 2 silver coins to Viper and Lol, I have your portkeys here. Harry grinned, and how is little Ipin doing? Fawn smiled before he frowned, truly well. She has advanced fast for her age but I fear for her safety. There has been strange instances lately. Nothing to worry about I assure you but strange nonetheless. Harry, I'll take your word for it. Just know if you need help. Fawn smiled, I know, my sky. Now I must take my leave. Colonel Cora, I need to get to Mafia Land and prepare it as well. Skull-sama needs to attend another meeting with Carcassa Familija. Reborn, Ho, is it about the new heiress, Lackey? Skull, sure as Senpai I'll still be helping them out from time to time of course but I'm pretty sure she can handle it. I have been training her since she was a teen 7 years ago. Now she's a strong 22-year-old woman. Colonel Reborn, I'm guessing, you'll bring the kids for a tour of Mafia Land soon. Reborn, don't worry Harry, things will turn out fine, you'll see. No one is touching our baby Sky without facing us. Verde nodded, I think what we need is a vacation. We can go to the volcanic islands in the Caribbean to enjoy the sun and the sea. Who knows, maybe you'll find some obscure ingredient there. Harry smiled but before he could answer there was a knock on the door. He got up confused as to who would come now and went to open the door. Verde looked at Reborn. From the hitman's expression he could tell this was half expected by him. He wondered what will happen now. Harry opened the door only to find Suna and Kyoya there. He was a bit surprised but yet not. He ushered them inside and let them sit. Suna, I have decided. I made my decision. Harry was alarmed. Suna, you don't need to hurry. You still have years. Suna stopped Harry. Harry ni. Please, I want to do this. Harry looked at Suna carefully and nodded before backing down. Suna looked at Reborn who would be his tutor from now on. Reborn, and what have you decided? Mi Bambino Cielo? Yoya had a smug look at the power and confidence his chosen mate gave off. Harry knew Suna would bring the change. He was the catalyst. Death had told him would change the world. He was very proud and smiled at him with pride. Verde looked forward to how things would change in the coming year and Reborn. Reborn smirked, spoken like a true boss. Bambino Cielo. Suna flared his flames. I will do it. I know, I can with my dying will. To be continued. Hope you all enjoyed this chapter. This book is almost over. Those who haven't voted, remember to vote. I have added another poll to Itsu. Check it out. You have till the end of this book for voting. Till next time, my lovely readers. A vacation. Hello everyone. I'm back with another chapter. It was giving me many trouble. Talking. Thinking. Enjoy. Verde relaxed under the shade provided by the parasol. He had managed to get Harry to agree to the vacation after many arguments and puppy eyes from the kids. The island they were in was a private property belonging to the Cavallone. Dino had jumped on the wagon, so to speak, when he found out about the vacation plan. Verde, I swear my Sky is more of a workaholic than I am, and that's saying something. Did Dino stalk my Sky again though? Verde was always amused by the reaction his Sky has on the younger Skies. It was like his Sky was a mother Sky to the younger ones and the babies. Kais naturally feels safe just being near him. He snickered to himself just thinking about it, but didn't say anything out loud. Suna, Verde-sensei, there you are. I was looking all over for you. Verde, ah baby Sky. Come have a sit. Suna pouted. I'm not a baby, Verde-sensei. Verde chuckled. Oh, but you are compared to me and the others. Suna whined. Verde laughed, teasing the little Sky was always fun. Now is there something you needed, baby Sky? Suna, who was still pouting. I just wanted to say, thank you. Verde looked at Suna as he blushed while explaining, I know you planned the vacation for only yourself and Harry, and I also know that Harry has been working hard trying to break the curse and needed this break. You didn't plan for us to go on the vacation with you guys. So I wanted to thank you for letting us tag along with you. It has been a very relaxing week. Despite the training Reborn has been putting me and the others through. He mumbled the last part to himself. Verde sat up. Kiddo, whether or not my plans went the way I wanted them to, you don't need to thank me for this. We all needed this, if I'm being completely honest. Besides, we're family, aren't we? Suna smiled and nodded before getting up and joining the others who were playing. Verde observed them. It seems Suna's siblings were starting to pick their own elements among the younger ones. Little Sora, it seems, bonded with Nami and Haru, who turned out to be a lightning and mist, while Kaeta bonded with Hiroshi, Hinata and Kyoko, who were a cloud, storm and sun respectively. Verde snorted when he saw Suna hit his father on his face with a ball after the foolish lion had no doubt annoyed him again. The little Sky was truly enjoying the vacation bonding with his guardians though. He remembered the first meeting between his Sky and the CEDEF Sky. Skull walked up to Verde after a bit to relax from the fun. Skull, you know, I was honestly a bit worried about bringing Iamatsu here. But I'm glad he is here. Verde, true, who would have thought our Sky would get along with him? Skull snorted. I think it's the fact Iamatsu thinks he's a civilian that helped. Flashback. Iamatsu looked at Lol. Why are we at the beach? And on a vacation? You are usually biting my head off about work most of the time. Lol huffed. Don't get me wrong, idiota. I'm still gonna bite your head off about work. You need this more right now. Iamatsu had taken it as some sort of bonding time and taken it as a game. His intuition helping him avoid the worst embarrassing pranks, but not all. That is when he came across Harry. To say that he was shocked once again was another understatement. Iamatsu pointed his finger. You. How is it that you? How? Sky. Unknown. Suna huffed. Dad, stop being rude to my hairy knee. Mom. Dad is being weird. Tell him to stop. Nana. Is something wrong, dear? Iamatsu looked bewildered. Ah. No, nothing, dear. Just thought Harry was it. Was someone I know. He had later found Harry with much to his surprise, Reborn and Skull, and proceeded to question them, if Harry was the Sky Archibaldino and what he wanted with his son. Skull had bluntly told the man, Harry is a civilian. He has nothing to do with the Mafia and we are keeping it that way. Flashback end. That was at the start of the week. They now had 2 days of vacay before returning to their busy lives. Skull observed the peaceful and fun sight before him and laid back to relax on the mat that had been spread out. Harry was manning the barbecue while Nana prepared the other lunches. Yuki was helping her husband with the sushi and the other ladies were watching over the kids with their husbands. Skull had snorted when Iamatsu had wailed dramatically after learning Suna had a boyfriend. Before proceeding to hug attack the twins and telling them to not grow up. Nana had hit him over the head, threatening him to sleep on the couch for being silly and not ruin her ship. Lol ha. D come over to them after dodging Iamitsu's attempts to get her to play. It's hard to believe we live in a world as harsh as the Mafia when you look at them. This so far was one of your best ideas, Verde. Verde, we all need downtime, lol. Quote, lol, yes, but your idea of downtime was anything but a week-long vacation at the beach. Verde shrugged. People change, lol, you know that. Lol, yes, they do. It's a good look on you, Verde. Too bad Viper and Kernelo had to leave after spending just 2 and 3 days. Verde, indeed, unavoidable circumstances unfortunately. No matter, we can have another vacation again to make up for it. Quote, Skull, who was watching Reborn use playtime as training time, chimed in, maybe we can force them to pay for a vacation on the Alps or Dubai. Verde concurred, it was plans for the future. For now just relax and enjoy the sun and the beach. Heaven knows when they'll get another free time again. They were all workaholics, no pun intended. To be continued. I'm really happy to know that you all love my story so much. I only wrote this to satisfy my own desire for a crossover. Till next time, my lovely readers. Back to the grinder. Hello my lovely readers. I'm back with another chapter. I still can't believe how many of you love this story. I mostly wrote this to satisfy my own desire for a crossover. I'm so flattered. Talking. Thinking. Enjoy. Har. Y and Verde had gone back to their research after returning from the vacation. It wouldn't be a stretch to say that holidays and relaxation were the best medicine for workaholic people. They had returned. Ned refreshed and relaxed like never before. Reborn was quite pleased with the end result of the vacation, even though he had to suffer through Iamitsu's stupidity and whining. The lion had finally figured out who Suna called Papa and became more overbearing than before. Reborn, however, mused. It was however amusing to see his shocked and blank reaction. And who knew the young lion was capable of emitting such killer intent? Flashback. Iamitsu, whose intuition was acting up watching Reborn's interactions with his 3 children, finally asked, Nana-chan, is it true that Su-chan, Sora-chan and Kayeta-chan call Reborn Papa? Nana smiled pleasantly. You found out. Well, dear, how to say this? You were hardly ever around during Father's Day. And Su-chan, Sora-chan and Kayeta-chan always worked hard on their gifts. Iamitsu felt a second arrow pierce him at that, but Nana ignored him and kept talking. The 3 of them get truly upset and angry and hurt when they can't reach you. They were very disappointed. ! Quote. Iamitsu was down and out for the count. Harry snorted from his barbecue and gave his pseudo-sister a thumbs up. He was grinning like a loon at how effective Nana was in bringing the man down. Reborn just smirked wickedly and took the reins in watching over the teens while the others watched over the younger siblings. Or in Reborn speak, train the teens to swim and increase their stamina. Which was a sore weak point for them. Iamitsu had looked at Reborn with jealousy and killer intent after that. Reborn had sadistically thought it served him right. Foe are always procrastinating visiting the family. And it was hilarious to watch Suna shoot down his father when the young lion had insisted they called him Papa instead of Reborn. Flashback end. As a live-in tutor, Reborn started to stay at the Sawada household. The 3 siblings didn't mind. They loved cuddling with their father figure. Sometimes Reborn half wondered if he wasn't cursed. Would he have a couple of children and grandchildren by now? He shook the thought off. Now that they were halfway through understanding the curse, it was possible to have a child in the near future. He would just have to be patient. He trusted Harry and Verde to figure things out soon. Until then, he would protect and train his baby Sky. Verde looked up from one of his experiment. They had finally found a replacement for one of the main ingredients, the chomping cabbage. It took many trial and error, but they managed to recreate the magical plant and mass-produce them. The puffer fish and the scarab beetles were luckily not unknown. Introducing the new plant as one of the secret ingredients had gone as well as it could for the science community. They were all over themselves asking him questions about the where, when and how. Harry was amused by how popular Verde was becoming and made sure to add redirection wards to his clothes to keep stalkers from following him. Harry laughed. You are definitely the hottest and most desirable man in the world right now. Verde snorted. Humph. I have no interest on those wishy-washy idiots. Chrome giggled, but Verde-sensei, you have so many girls and boys throwing themselves at your feet. I'm pretty sure if you asked them to become your harem, they would happily agree. Suna grinned, chirping, yeah sensei, I swear the girls and boys back in school we're talking about you as if you were a superstar. Takeshi laughed, it's hilarious actually. They didn't even know your name a few months ago. Kyoko nodded while leaning back on her best guy friend. Suna, it's true though, isn't it? They are wishy-washy. Verde huffed, honestly it's the fame and money they want, not me. Besides, why would I care for their interest when I have everyone important to me? Here, Hana muttered, they are stupid monkeys. You don't need them sensei. Harry smiled softly, we love you too V. No matter what. Little Chrome's, Takeshi's and Kyoko's eyes had sparkled with admiration at the new plants, and they had decided to master herbology and potions no matter what it took. It might take years to recreate the plants, but they would be patient and master their chosen fields. Verde had taken to tutoring them one by one on the plants he successfully managed to recreate and leaving them in their care once they had completely understood the intimate details of magical plant care. He half wondered if Chrome would be incorporating the plants into her mist, and Takeshi would use some of the potions on his fighting style. It's a no-brainer, Kyoko was already applying it to hers. And speaking of mists, it seems Mukuro picked up a puppy and they were coming to Namimori. Because Harry wanted to meet them face to face and Reborn had called the smoking bomb to test Suna. Harry hummed. Things were about to become hectic soon. He could feel it in the wind, and with dread he feared for Suna and the others' safety, but he knew it had to happen. He only hoped they came out of it without losing anyone. Reborn, who was sitting on Harry's shoulder, just sipped his coffee, looking forward to some chaos and fun. One more chapter and this book is finished. Woo-hoo. Opening parenthesis, closing parenthesis. Soon I'll publish book 2. Magic and Curses in Mafia. Till next time, my lovely readers. Winds of Change. Hello everyone. Welcome to the final chapter of this book. Yay, I actually finished writing a book. Talking. Thinking. Enjoy. Death looked at the world his young master was currently residing in. They could feel fate's mischief and chaos, hands joining together to cause trouble for the mortals that had visited their child earlier, and they knew their child and his friends were bursting with questions and curiosity, but understand their pride didn't let them ask the questions. Death's sea huckled, remembering how disgruntled they were when they reached a neck hold. Death was so tempted to tell them, but they didn't, knowing soon they would get through their problems. Plus they had a feeling their child's chastity would be in danger should they solve the problem so soon. Death, can't mistake the look the cursed ones are giving him. And if I didn't know any better, I say young Harry is flattered by it. As Death was reminiscing, they were joined by their two siblings, Time and Life. The three of them were born, or rather came to existence together next to each other. Time and Life had their own favorites in the mortal realm, however it was truly rare when Death chose a representative. The mortals, for some reason, feared Death, not realizing that Life is followed by Death with time in between. The three of them were one in more ways they would admit. Life took out a jug of her favorite drink, pouring it into 3 different goblets. Soul, for your thoughts. Death took a goblet. Somewhat. Time sipped his. You're thinking about Harry, aren't you? Death, perhaps. Life grinned. Look at you, acting like a proud human parent. Time laughed. You can't blame Death for it, dear Life. Even we can't deny that among millions of life forms, there will always be that one that is just the perfect child for us. Life nodded. Indeed, although it still annoys me, we cannot have one of our own. I suppose the fact they are being born, even though it is among mortals, will satisfy me. Death hummed while their siblings followed them. Life tended to take the form of a LT female, while Time favored the form of older men. Death themselves didn't prefer any gender or being, preferring his original, terrifying for humans, form. Besides, he found it fascinating how Harry didn't look afraid of him, but instead sought him out instead for comfort. Death, the little sky who follows Harry around, finally noticed me last visit. And interestingly enough, he wasn't terrified of me unlike the others. Life, oh, that's news. Time hummed. Sounds like the little fledgling is following the older fledgling's footsteps. Death nodded. Perhaps. I only hope he does not get any foolhardy ideas out of it. Harry cares about the little one and would be terribly upset if anything happens to him. Life hummed comfortingly. Worry not, I'm sure your dear one has it handled. Bine. G.A. Wizard, he knows better than to expect things to go as planned. Death. True enough. Time looked over the world, the winds of fate are changing. I do wonder what our younger siblings have in store for the mortals. Death grumbled. Whatever it is, it won't doubt increase my already full workload. Life laughed. Here. If that's not the truth. Time chuckled. I'm honestly looking forward to what happens next. It's not always we get much entertainment. Death nodded in agreement, the problem with being timeless and immortal beings. There is not much out there that can interest you. Only once in a millennia does something happen that catch your attention. The mortals who seek immortality are truly foolish, and those who do gain it somehow commit suicide after they realize how truly why alone they were, and they are unable to cope with the loneliness. They didn't want to keep it barren and asked me to fill it with life. Those brats, honestly, they can create trouble but don't know how to handle the aftermath. Death gave a deadpan, you're kidding me. Time snickered, oh sounds fun. Do you need help? Life snorted, I know. We'll see. I don't actually plan on giving life to it right away. Maybe after a millennia or 3 when one of the older dimensions cease to exist. Death hummed, they could accept that. Time looked at them knowingly while life just smiled and waved them goodbye before leaving. Time, you're excited. Death, a bit perhaps. It has been a while since something happened. Most of the time nothing interesting happens in the world of living that can shake the whole existence. Yes, I look forward to the future. Life is always filled with happiness and sadness, with bad and good. And this is the end for this book. Opening parenthesis, closing parenthesis. Thank you dear lovely readers for sticking with this story. More than 30k reads is awesome. Heart. I'll soon publish book 2. I'm still a bit torn with the title, but I'll figure it out. And thank you for voting everyone. Truly appreciate it. See you all in the next book. Thank you everyone. This book was advertised on the front wall of Wattpad for the first time as top pick. Thank you everyone for all your support. I'm so happy right now. It's the first book now XDD. After talking to my brother, I entered this book in Earth Awards. I don't expect to win, but I hope it'll reach more people and they enjoy reading it. Smiley face.